Well, happy Friday, everyone. You know what that means? Another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you're going to see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Sometimes I have the answers, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care. So guys, as always, tonight we're coming to you guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Those of you guys that are tuning in on Instagram, feel free to be part of the conversation. You're not going to be able to see the content that I post on the, over YouTube, but still feel free to chime in and be part of it, and I will bounce back and forth and get questions as they come in. Guys, definitely fall is here. The temperatures are starting to drop here in Northeast Georgia. It's a pleasant time to be outside working in the lawn. And the growth of the grass has definitely slowed down a lot too. So depending on where you are in the country, you might be experiencing that, or the grass might be growing as it always has. So yeah, it's a fun time of year. Let's see what we have in the live stream this evening. All right, first up, we got Mr. Dalvin Larry. He says, "Hey Ron, what's going on, Dalvin? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Thanks for you to come hang out with us this evening." And then he has a question. First question, starting it off. He says, "I'll keep the first question. When or what would be a good indicator to cut back or stop watering? I know if you go too long, you can cause issues. Is there anything specific to look for in the lawn?" That's a great question, Dalvin. Like this time of year, if I run irrigation once per week, that's a lot. We're getting enough rain that I really don't have to water quite as often. What you'll find is when the lawn goes dormant, assuming you're not getting any rain, running irrigation, once a week, once every 10 days is good idea. But this time of year, you really have to play it by ear. In Northeast Georgia, we got some rain this morning, so I'm not going to run irrigation. Maybe later on next week, depending on what the weather does. So the grass has really slowed down as far as quickly it's growing, and I just haven't had the need to water as much as I did, say, in August, right? So September it slowed down, and then now it's really slowing down, especially given that the temperatures are beginning to fall. So keep up with your irrigation, but you don't have to water as frequently as you did when in the summer months of, like, say, September. I'm sorry, of July, August, that time frame when it was still hot. You can start backing it down. If the grass is still growing, you're still mowing it, and you want to get an inch or so of water, maybe a little bit less than an inch of water on the lawn per week, that would still be fine. But again, really just play it by ear, because given the cooler temperatures we're having this time of year, water is going to go further. It's not like during the summer where you water the lawn and you lose quite a bit of it to evaporation. When you water, you're getting a lot more out of it. Just like when you get rainfall, you're also getting a lot more out of that. So depending on where you are in the country, that's how you would put together your watering schedule. I would still water, just not at the level that you were in the summertime. Again, June, July, August timeframe, I would begin backing it down a bit. Great question. All right, next up, we have Mark Romano. I think it was a carryover from last week. He says a pet weasel would be a great for moles. Yeah, so last week there was someone that was asking about how to get rid of squirrels. And then I think the mole conversation came up as well. I don't know, Mark. While a weasel might be okay for moles, don't they cause other problems? You might be trading one issue for another, right? It's all kind of like how most things are in life. You trade what problem do you want to have? So yeah, I've not heard of people getting a weasel for moles. I don't know that most people would want to entertain that. The cure in some cases would be worse than the problem. All right, next up we got Mr. Randall Lard is in the house. Randall saying, "Good evening, Ron. Have a great show. I'm gonna do my best, man. I'm gonna do my absolute best to have a fun time with you guys tonight. Hang out talking about lawn care, doing the fun time. The nice thing about this time of year is that it's slowed down quite a bit. So believe it or not, there are some folks, like the cool season folks, are having a great time. Like you guys are probably deep into your overseeding. You are, some of you might still be top dressing. Still getting a little bit late for that, but some of you guys might be top dressing. But it's definitely a time of year when cool season folks tend to have more fun than us with warm season grass, unless you live in Florida. The next up is Papa Moslow. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron, and everyone back from the Bahamas and are ready for the live stream." Nice. Glad you had a safe trip. I remember last time you wrote you were heading out there. You're on your way out. So a week in the Bahamas was good. You said it was a great trip. And they gave me Royal Caribbean gave you two free trips. You're going again in February and in April, and I get another trip in the summer. That's pretty awesome. Dude, what do you do with them? What do you do to really giving away cruises like that? Fill us in, man. That's pretty cool, Papa Moslow. So yeah, enjoy it. I'm glad that you travel safe, you got back safe. And again, if you have any other questions related to lawn care, feel free to drop them in the chat. Sure, the lawn was doing well. You probably had someone take care of it for you while you were out of town. All right, Oliver Ridham is up next. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron and gang. Laid down my Carbon Pro G, Humic Max, Headway G, and Spectacle Flow before the rain. Then it flooded day of. Probably 2 1/4 inches or more here in Texas. Hopefully nothing got washed away." I wouldn't worry about it too much, Oliver. I've seen pictures of your lawn and it's relatively flat. So I wouldn't think that you would have lost very much of the products that you applied. So you did your fertilizer, your granular biostimulant, your fungicide, and also your pre-emergent. I really wouldn't worry about it at all. Again, from what I remember, your lawn is relatively flat, so it got a good watering in. I really wouldn't be concerned with it with it being washed away. That the whole idea of that, you get a heavy rainfall and then you lose a bunch of the products you apply is really overblown. It's not as common as you might think, especially if your lawn, your property tends to be flat to where, yes, you may get a lot of water. You may even have some that may pool for a little bit, but then once it dries out, it's just going to settle and whatever's there is just going to stay there. You know what I mean? So I really wouldn't be too concerned about the heavy rainfall you got, given the products that you applied. You'd be just fine. Yeah, man. Well, at least it's good, man. That's the thing with Texas and Oklahoma. Over the summer, you guys were complaining about not enough water. Now you're getting too much water, and that's just the way of things, right? That's just the way of it. But I'm glad that you at least got your pre-emergent down. Again, if you have not applied your pre-emergent, especially if you're in the Southeast United States, you're absolutely behind the curve. So good job, Oliver, on getting yours applied. And again, my mantra when it comes to pre-emergent, a little bit early is better than a little bit late. If you're in the Southeast United States, you are definitely trending more towards you're on the late side of things. So get it down, get it applied. You definitely want to. It's much less expensive to prevent weeds in the first place than have to deal with them after the fact. In Oliver's case, he used Spectacle Flow, which is an excellent product. But there's also dithiopyr, there's also prodiamine, there's tons of different products you can use that are not quite as expensive as Spectacle Flow. The idea is to get some kind of pre-emergent down. It's really going to set yourself up for success for this fall, spring, and then even into next year. So the great lawn next year starts now. So pre-emergent is definitely part of that. All right, Tom Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, happy Friday, Ron and lawn enthusiasts. Hoping your green is looking supreme. It is. It's looking pretty good. It's not bad. It's not quite as good as, say, June timeframe, but it's still looking good. I mowed it this afternoon, and I'm happy with it. It's still holding on there. The lawn is growing a lot more slowly. So to give you an example, I mowed the front and back, and it was 2 grass catchers. And I don't let them get all the way full. So for the entire front lawn, entire back lawn, literally I only empty the grass clippings, the catcher, the basket just 2 times. And remember, that's 11,500 square feet. So it gives you an idea of how much it's slowed down. Granted, the lawn is still under regulation. I don't know that Primo has really it's really fallen out of regulation quite yet. So it's still growing very slowly, and I'm not complaining. Still looks great. All right, next up we have Mr. Papamos Low. He says, I applied my first application of Headway G. I only have enough left for half of my lawn. Can I use Clary's 336F as a preventative, or is that just a curative? You can use it as a preventative. I believe there's the label does specify a preventative and a curative rate. Like you can go up to, don't quote me on this, but I believe close to 4 ounces whenever you're using it, 4 ounces per thousand, whenever you're using it as a curative. For the preventative, you'd want to be closer to that 2 ounce per thousand rate. But double check the label, Papamos Low. Kind of like with Headway, whenever you are applying Headway as a preventative, the rate I like to use is around 2 to 2.5 pounds. When you are using it as a curative, the rate goes up, 3.5 to the 4 pound range. So the only product that I'm aware of, at least probably others, the one that I'm most aware of, that where the curative rate and preventative rate are the same is a liquid fungicide like Pillar SC. So it doesn't really matter whether you're using this to cure an active problem or to control an active problem, or as a preventative, like how I've been using it this month and again next month. The rate is still the same, 1 ounce per 1,000 square feet. So yeah, you should be good to go to use the Clary's if you have that, and let us know how it works out. If you're planning on doing a second app, you're going to want to get either some more Headway or not have enough Clary's to do your app in November, and that should be it, man. You should be able to shut down the season with that. Again, I find that a fungicide application this time of year too, so one in October and another one in November, is relatively cheap insurance given the amount of damage that you can suffer, especially if you use you guys with cool season lawns. You guys deal with snow mold. Pink snow mold is a variation of it. For us with warm season turf, we're trying to prevent spring dead spot next year, and that happens now by reducing the amount of nitrogen you're putting in the lawn, and then also by doing a preventative fungicide app. So it's cheap insurance both for warm and cool season lawns to get a preventative fungicide app out. So Papamos Low, yeah, if you got the Clary's, use what you got, roll with what you got. And then if next month, if you're doing a second one next month, that is when you could use Clary's again, or you could use Headway. I got a question about this via email and around like fungicides, like how many times in a row, like how frequently can you use the same fungicide? And I'm a fan of using it using the same fungicide twice and then rotating to a different group, to different frac group. So in the case of Headway, I think it's either 7 and 11 or 3. I forget which one. It's 11 is one of them. It's either 11 and 7 or 11 or 3 and 11. I forget which group it is. But there are 2 fungicides between the azoxystrobin and propiconazole. And then Clary's is 1, I believe. It's completely different to the propiconazole or azoxystrobin that's in Headway. So let's say you had an active problem in your lawn. You could do an application of Headway, and then 14 to 21 days later, you could do another application of it. If there is still an issue and you thought, hey, I may need another fungicide app, that is when you'd want to rotate to another group. So yeah, good stuff. Papamos Low. Keep us posted on how the lawn develops, how it recovers, or just that hopefully it stays disease free. And again, if you need anything else, let me know. Instagram, you guys are quiet. We got channel moving forward in the live stream tonight. Jimmy 2150s in the live stream. Mike Lowry, someone I guess we got one of the bad boys is in the live stream tonight. So thanks for coming to hang out. Appreciate you guys. Next up, we have Jason Harrison. He says, "Evening, long gang. Just finished a cut, ready to sit back, sip my lemonade, and enjoy the chat." Sounds like a plan. Tonight I'm doing a special kind of blend, man. It's what have I got? I've got like some mint lemongrass tea. I've got the Milos in here, and then some sparkling water. So it's kind of, it tastes almost like soda, but it's not, because of the mint and the Arnold Palmer in here. It's good. It's a good blend. Good blend. Some of you guys in the academy were telling me about this this Brazilian lemonade, a limeade that I got to try out. It looks like it's pretty involved. So maybe this weekend I'll see about getting the different parts I need to make it and give it a shot. All right, next up is Jonathan Daza. He says, "Hey Ron, what's going on?" Thanks for coming out, Jonathan. He says, "I got some fertilizer burn from over applying this weekend. Besides watering and raking off the dead grass, anything else I should do? Thanks." There's not a ton you can do, Jonathan. It's really going to be a waiting game. Depending on the severity of the damage, you can apply a compost. You could, if you have access to a compost product, something like carbonized PN in the areas where you had the damage, that will help aid recovery. But it's really just a time thing. So you're doing the right things. You've already watered to help push the excess fertilizer down into the soil profile. You've gotten rid of the dead grass. If you can get some rich compost to put in those areas, to spot treat those areas, that's also going to help too. If you're asking me what I'd recommend, I'd say go with a product like carbonized PN. Sorry you're dealing with that. We've all been there. We've all been there. You guys often hear me talk about, hey, whenever you're putting fertilizer into the hopper for your broadcast spreader, always do that on concrete. Like, don't do it on your grass. If you're doing like a granular biostimulant, kind of like, like Essential G, no big deal, because that you can't really burn the grass with that. But when it comes to fertilizer, like, you really, really never want to refill a fertilizer hopper on the turf, because if you happen to leave the gate open to where someone's dropping down, or even depending on the size of the prill of some fertilizers, it's small enough that's like a little bit might get through there. And if you, let's say you're gonna go refill the hopper on the lawn, you get a phone call, something happens, you're not paying attention, and that's how you end up with big ouchies. So I've been there. I've burnt my lawn before. It's probably been, I think it was in 2017, 2018 is when the last time I had that issue. And that's why I am like adamant about don't put fertilizer in your spreader on the lawn. Like avoid doing that if at all possible. You just, minimizing the chance of there being a problem. So cool. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for the question. Again, just give it time. Give it time. You're already doing the right things. So yeah, just a waiting game. We've all been there, sir, and it will. This too shall pass. Is probably the best way. The best way of saying it is that you got your stripes. Every lawn person, lawn guy or gal, eventually has that problem. So sounds like it was just your time. All right, next up is the Jackie Bear. He says, "Have an excellent stream, sir. We be gone." All right, Jackie, I appreciate you. We got Doug Mason saying hello. What's going on, Doug? Christine Barr saying aloha, Ron. Awesome. So we got the Hawaii crowd hanging out. So I believe Mark is from Hawaii. I forget which island. And then Christine, I imagine, is also from Hawaii based on her greeting. So thanks for coming to hang out. With Hawaii, it's 1 in the afternoon there. That's cool. All right, next up is Joshua Araya. He says, "What issues, if any, can occur from overwatering?" It's a great question, Joshua. Well, thing one, you waste water. Thing two, you can create situations where the lawn, if the lawn is predisposed to have a problem with disease, if you combine a lot of moisture, excess water, and fertilizer, you open yourself up to lawn diseases like large patch, brown patch, like those types of problems. The thing is, some grass types, most of them, but some grass types, particularly take zoysia, for example. If you overwater zoysia, you can start having a lot of root rot and discoloration problems. So there's like most things when it comes to lawn care, you want to give it enough water. An inch or so of water per week is a good rule for most grass types. really much more than that, you can start running into issues. Like, if another symptom of overwatering is the grass can turn a lime green color, so it can lose some of its color. So just in general, avoid putting too much water on the lawn. It's going to cause more harm than good. So hope that helps. It's a great question. Just not something that you're really not benefiting yourself by overdoing it. Again, you take like a warm season, like a cool season lawn, like a fescue lawn or KBG lawn, like say in the summertime. Yeah, you're gonna have to put down 1.5 inches of water on that just to keep it happy, given the amount of temperature. But like you take like Bermuda. Bermuda really doesn't need a ton of water. 1 inch of water per week is going to be happy. Like, I have a zoysia planter because I've actually tested this. I have a pot on my patio on the back. If you guys ever watch some of my videos, you'll see like that little planter that has grass in it. That's zoysia, and I've played with putting like watering it twice per day. So I go out there with a pitcher of water, put water on it typically once every 2 days. And if I do twice a day, what'll happen is the grass will start getting discolored. It'll get like orangish in color, and it just doesn't like it. So zoysia especially does not like excess water. Case in point, like, the Real Rollers Turf Park, they have 2 zoysia plots and the Bermuda plot. And in the springtime, because the 2 plots, the zoysia plots, don't drain that well, they're like, this spring, I had to go out there with fungicide. I actually went out there and sprayed pillar on it. And the zoysia was just not happy in the March-April timeframe. It wasn't really until we got into the summer and things dried out is when the zoysia really started shining in that particular place. Because you talk about an area where when it rains heavily, it just doesn't drain that well. The Bermuda, on the other hand, was just fine, right? So depending on the grass type, you can run into more, or the problems can be more apparent than in other grass types. But in general, you're going to make it more prone to disease problems. You can have issues with root rot. And you waste water. Like, your grass just really doesn't need it. Another problem too, right? Let's say that you're going out and you're feeding your lawn, you're fertilizing it. If you start watering it excessively, you can start pushing that fertilizer down through the soil profile. So for clay soil, not as much, but say you have a sandy soil, you can you've probably heard of this term of like leaching. Like, you put nutrients in the soil and the nutrients leach, or they move beneath the root zone to where the plant can't take advantage of it. If you're out there watering every single day and you're putting down 1 inch of water every day, it in essence as well too, you're pushing that fertilizer, like granular, through the root zone, and you're wasting it. So wasting water, potential disease problems, and just in general, just not necessary. It does more harm than good. There's no reason to put excess water on a lawn. So hope that helps. It's a great question. I'll tell you that again, the rule, especially if you have warm season grass, the rule of once of 1 inch or so of water per week for Bermuda especially does well. During the summer months when it's really hot, I'll run my irrigation twice per week if I don't get rain. I run it twice per week at between 4 and 6 in the morning, and that's enough to keep my lawn looking good. This time of year, you're going to need even less water. So yeah, good question. Again, if you have any other follow-ups, feel free to let me know. All right. Next, let's see if we got anything here from the folks on the gram. Nothing. You guys are quiet tonight. For now. All right. Next, we got Sean Murphy. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Just got a good mow in with the Greensmaster 1000. I like it. Looking forward to another great live stream." Good job, Sean. I'm glad to hear your priorities are in order. While the live stream is important, while I appreciate all the love and support, the turf comes first. The grass always comes first. Like, some of you guys are listening to this while you're mowing. That's you're multitasking. You're getting a 2-for-1. But if you have a choice between listening to the live stream or mowing your lawn, you should be mowing your lawn, because you can always listen to this after the fact, right? Good stuff. All right, guys. So we got 105 folks in the live stream right now. Only 32 likes. Surely we can do better than that. So if you guys are enjoying the show, feel free to hit that like button. It costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel, and I really, really would appreciate it. Hit that like button ever so gently. If you're on Instagram, hit the heart or whatever you guys do on Instagram to show engagement. Do that. All right, next up is Tito Pineda. He says, "What type of fertilizer to stent the green tiff tough? What time of fertilizer to?" I'm not sure. I'm sure your question, Tino. I think you're asking what type of fertilizer for a green tough top Bermuda. So the best way to know what fertilizer is the most correct fit for your grass type, Tino, is to do a soil test. So the one that I love and recommend is the one from My Soil. We carry these on the golf course lawn store. By doing this, you're going to go out and take samples, and then you'll get your results within typically less than a week, within 7 business days. I actually did my soil test what is today? It was on Sunday morning before I fertilized and put down my fungicide. I pulled cores, and then that went out Monday. So I imagine this weekend I might have my soil test results. I'll be able to show you guys next week if you're interested. But yeah, so that's the best way to figure out exactly what type of fertilizer is the best fit for your lawn. The one that I use, I'll show you here. If we go to the golf course lawn store and you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, my favorites, the 2 fertilizers that I use on my lawn the most are the Stress 12-0-24 and Humic Max. So the last one that I used last week, like this past Saturday, was the Stress 12-0-24. That was my last granular app of the season. And then throughout the growing season, so really from April, May, June, July, August, September, all the way so April through September, I go with Humic Max. So these are both excellent options. If your soil test results say that your soil needs phosphorus, or you're phosphorus deficient, then is when you could go for the complete 14-7-14. So for a soil that needs phosphorus, go with this one. Otherwise, either Humic Max or the Stress 12-0-24. Either one of those will work well. If we do have a calculator, I'm not sure if you've seen it on the golf course lawn store, that will actually build out like a program for you. So say, for example, if you have like a 4,000 square foot lawn, and we're going to say you have warm season grass because you asked about Bermuda, and let's say you're not spoon feeding, you're not ready for that yet, you're just going to stick with your granular, and you don't need phosphorus because you did a soil test and it says, hey, you've got enough phosphorus, no need to add any of that to your lawn. Do you need growth regulator? Not this time of year. Do you want to use granular biostimulants? Always. And then you'll see its recommendation. It'll say for this time of year, you should go with the Stress 12-0-24 and then Essential G. So a granular compost product and the fertilizer. So you can also feel free to take advantage of that as well if you want like a tool to size how much of each product you need. It's free to use on the store. And yeah, so between those two, between Humic Max or the 12-0-24, that's going to move your lawn in a really good spot. I mean, I've not gotten really any negative feedback for either of those fertilizers. The only time I'd say to go for the complete is whenever you need phosphorus. If your soil test results say that your phosphorus is low, then you would go with that. And to help you to get to that, Tino, I'm going to put a link here in the chat of where you can find those. We'll say fertilizers here, and also the pinned comment as well in the live stream is to the 12-0-24, which is one I really recommend using this time of year. Great product. All right, next up is C. Pims. Colin is in the house. Colin, I think you may have sent me a picture that I'll get a chance to show off to the folks here on the live stream. So Colin is up next, and he says, "What's up, Ron? Hope your Friday's going well. Tuning in for a great live stream tonight. Thank you so much, Colin." So Colin is I think you said you have Paspalum, right? Is your grass type? It's not. I thought it was fescue at first, but it's not. And he was very proud. He did some lawn maintenance, I think it was yesterday, and he's very proud of the edge that he ran. And here's the thing that's especially cool about this. I'll show you guys a picture here real quick. So that's his lawn. Look at that edge. It's a really clean edge. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. What's more impressive about that is that Colin does that with a string trimmer. So I use a stick edger because that's what I use. I've boogered up my edges enough using a string trimmer. So I tend to stick with a stick edger. But Colin, he's on point, man. That is, I got to tell you, looking at that, it's pretty straight. Not too much wave in it at all. Nice and crisp. Nice work. So thank you for sending those pictures to me. If you ever want some help on how to use a string trimmer to lay a good edge, I mean, Colin's your man. You can reach out to him. He can give you some tips and guidance. So yeah, good stuff. All right, so we have a question here. So Channy moving forward says, I have a question up top about pre-emergent. I don't see any questions from you. If you ask the question on Instagram, can you ask it again? Because I don't see it in here. I don't see it in here. So yeah, feel free to drop it in there, and I'll revisit it if you drop it in the chat. All right, next up is LG. LG, look at you, man. You're out here early. We didn't have to do a super chat. We didn't have to say your name and to play Tango Bolero. You just came out just to come hang out. Awesome. He says, hey, Ron and Golf Course Lawn Squad, being a good boy and staying home reading my Bible tonight with a little A little libation. Okay, LG. Okay, if you say so. If you say so. All right. Next up is CPIMS. He says, I just put down some fungicide yesterday trying to get ahead of diseases this time. It's a good idea, man. It's cheap insurance. Cheap insurance to apply a fungicide versus dealing with the eyesore of looking at, a damaged lawn. So I'm with you on doing that, CPIMS. On doing that column. All right, and next up is Christine Bear. She says, big problem with moss. Best product for this, please. Yeah, so there are a couple different products you can use for getting rid of moss in a lawn, Christine. The thing, before we go into products, what we'd want to talk about is why you're having the problem in the first place. So moss tends to be a problem in parts of the lawn that are that don't drain properly. So if you get a lot of rain and the water tends to settle, moss tends to be an issue in those types of cases. If your soil tends to be more acidic, so even if you do a soil test and your soil is more on the acidic side, you tend to have more issues with moss in your lawn. And so what I'd say is, even though there are products like Scott's makes a product for moss that will take care of moss, but really, unless you want to keep fighting it all the time, you're going to want to correct the conditions. You want to get rid of the conditions that are causing moss to be a problem in your lawn, more so than just putting a product on it. Because what will happen is you'll do that, and then it will come back. And I'm pretty sure we have a blog post on dealing with moss. Actually, I was looking for it. So I was multitasking. You'd probably tell. So on the Golf Course Lawn Store, under our blog, I think it's on page 3, but I'll send you a link directly to it. We have a blog post on how to get rid of moss. This is from last year, and it talks about what causes moss, kind of things that I was telling you about. Typically, lawns that have drainage issues, low soil pH, compacted soil. It talks about some of the cultural practices you can use to get rid of it. Some DIY stuff you can make. The importance of using like lime to help raise soil pH to make your lawn less attractive for moss to take root there. So I'll give you a link to that, but I'll also give you a link to the product from Scott's. There is a product called Moss EX that is effective against moss. But again, if you read this article that I'm going to link to you, I really encourage you to do a lot of those things as far as improving drainage, just trying to improve the conditions so that moss doesn't want to even take root in your lawn. So get your soil pH in check. So by doing a soil test, again, one of these guys, soil test kit, these are not expensive. They're like $30 to do that, to assess the health of your soil. And then after all that, so you've done all the things to help improve the conditions, the environmental conditions. Then if you want to go out there and use a product to target the moss, and I think you're not gonna be just throwing money away. So the product I'm talking about is called Moss X. I'll send you a link to it, but you can also likely find this at your big box store. So if you go to any of them tomorrow, you can pick it up there. But if you're interested and you're like, nah, Amazon's my jam, you can order it here. So Moss X, that product. So go with that once you've also done the other things that I'm talking about as well. So hope that helps. Sorry you're dealing with it. Moss isn't fun. It's not something I've had to deal with in my lawn, because again, I focus a lot on drainage. The lawn typically gets a lime application this time of year. We'll see based on my soil test if I need to do that. But all those practices, all those things you can do that make the conditions not ideal for moss, in my opinion, is the best way to control it versus just throwing a product like Moss X at it all the time. All right, next up is West Coast Broad War. It says, greetings from Huntsville, Alabama. Nice. Rocket City, man. Huntsville is very, very cool. A lot of, it's funny. People don't think a lot about Alabama, but like Huntsville, like a lot of rocket companies are there. A lot of defense contractors are there. There's a lot of cool stuff happens in Alabama, in that part of the country that people aren't aware of. So thanks for coming to hang out. Appreciate you coming by to say hey. And then next up is Jimmy Miller. He says, happy Friday, Ron and Golf Course Lawn Gang. Thanks for coming to hang out, Jimmy. Appreciate you. And then Madam Whoop says, hello, what's going on? And then Ben Raham, he's also sitting with a beverage with LG. Probably no Bible though, right? Just a cocktail, right? Okay, next up is West Coast Broad War. He says, hello, Ron. This season I use Anderson's product and love the results, but I'm looking to lower my costs. He says, why would you go with Milorganite over Lesco products? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. And here's the thing. Partly, yes, I will say this: like the products that Anderson sells are not inexpensive, but big part of why they're what they cost is they're actually really good. You know what I mean? So it's and as far as depending on as far as Let's Go products, I don't know which ones you're referring to, but if you were going to go with a organic fertilizer, you want something that's more organic, less chance of burning, I wouldn't use Milorganite. Like a better option is to go with the one, and again, it's not just because we sell it, but it's because it literally is a better product and per application costs less than Milorganite does. So if you go to the golf course lawn store and you go to shop and then go to lawn fertilizer, if you want a more organic approach, you've got the premium organic from Miramichi Green. It comes in a 45-pound bag until we sell out of them, which are almost done, and a 50-pound bag. And then the per application, so given you have a 50-pound bag, this is going to cover up to 8,000 square feet, right? If you do the math on Milorganite, like I actually did, I was in Home Depot a couple weeks ago buying a replacement garden hose, and Milorganite at my local store is $26 a bag. $26 a bag for 2,500 square feet. So you know it's not an inexpensive proposition, and it's not as good of a product. Whereas this is you got equal amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. This also has iron, it has calcium. There's a microbial package in this as well. There's some humate in this. So there's not really a scenario where I would use Milorganite over something like the Miramichi Premium Organic. And as far as Let's Go products, it depends on what Let's Go product you're talking about. But in general, I think I'm not sure of any organic fertilizers that Let's Go carries, or that at least they have made for them. They might have one, but I'm not aware of it. But if you're comparing Milorganite to say their synthetic products or synthetic fertilizers, what you're going to find is even more so than the Miramichi, the organic, you're going to get even more coverage per dollar spent. You know what I mean? So that's just something else to keep in mind. So unless you're just really, really sold on Milorganite and just love the product, again, I would not use it over a synthetic blended product. And if you want strictly organic, I would not use it over the Miramichi organic. So hope that helps. If you need anything else, let me know. And again, I wouldn't be so quick to move away from the Anderson's products. I mean, they're great products. I mean, I'll tell you, like Anderson's makes good stuff. We have some synthetic fertilizers that are also excellent. Like with the stuff that we carry is from Lebanon Turf. We have some two greens grades fertilizers. Where the prill, when I say that, you're probably, what do you mean by greens grades? Where that's the size of the prill. So you see that's a dime, and this is the fertilizer. So you can see how fine that is. And to put that in perspective, I can show you a picture, but why show a picture when I can actually show you the product, right? So like this is what your typical fertilizer looks like. This is Humic Max, which is, this is a 210 SGN, this is 150. And then the one that I was just showing you with the picture of the dime is this guy. This is your greens grade. So this is an 80 SGN, this is 150 SGN. And to put it in perspective, if you take the tip of a pen and compare this against Humic Max, you can see how much smaller the prill is. And then for the greens grade, it's not even the same universe. So the question you're probably asking yourself is, why do I care? Like, why does it matter that the prill is smaller? Well, if you ever go out and you fertilize your lawn and you look at it, you walk out there a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week later, and you're still seeing the prill sitting on top of the lawn, in many ways, that's just wasted fertilizer, because that stuff needs to be in the soil. It needs to get in the soil so that bacteria can break it down and make the nutrient, the nitrate, available to the grass for uptake. When you're dealing with a smaller prill, like what comes in Humic Max and the greens grade fertilizers, like you apply this stuff and literally after you're done, you can't even see it. It disappears. It gets past the canopy into the soil, where it can work faster. I believe Anderson's has products that are similar. They have like a similar prill size. So a lot of what you're paying for is that, the fact that the product is going to work better. The blends are better than what you're going to find on Milorganite. So if you decide to move away from, say, something like Lebanon Turf or the Anderson's products you're using, realize that, and you switch to, say, Milorganite, realize you're not really comparing two things that are the same. You're comparing, they're completely different. The closest comparison to Milorganite is the organic fertilizer that I linked to you there in the chat, and it is in pretty much every way a superior product to Milorganite, in my opinion. So hope that helps. If you have any other questions or any follow-up, feel free to let me know. But yeah, great question. All right, next up we have, let's see here. So we have a question here on the gram, on Instagram, from Channy moving forward. Says, you demand, Ron, I have a St. Augustine in Florida, as is pretty common in Florida. St. Augustine, pretty popular grass. Below the frost line, applied dithiopyr granular on the 1st, okay, 1st October, okay. Is there any benefit to applying prodiamine in water dispersible granule in a month for more coverage? I wouldn't, Channy. So if you did your dithiopyr application the beginning of October, so just like 5 days ago, I wouldn't be so quick to go out and do another pre-emergent application really for another 3 months at the earliest. So if you did it October, November, December, really in January is when I would look into doing that prodiamine application if you wanted to. There's just no need for it. There's no need to really to double up like that. I just wouldn't. I really wouldn't. So yeah, I would wait and save that for a couple months down the road. What you can do between now and then, I mean, here's what you could do. If you see that you apply the dithiopyr and you're starting to get a little bit of breakthrough, then what can happen is whenever you do your prodiamine app, your next application, you can mix some post-emergent herbicides in with it. So let's say you're getting some breakthrough of POA or whatever. You've got some POA in your lawn or some other weeds that dithiopyr really should have controlled, or you're a little bit late and you had some breakthrough anyway, right? You could, whenever you spray your prodiamine in late December, you could put some Celsius or some Certainty in the tank along with it, and that will knock back any weeds any little bit of amount of breakthrough that you might have. Given that you're in Florida, you're in South Florida, and for you, really, you could be doing pre-emergent every 3 months if you wanted to. I'd want to make sure that you're not going through your annual limit, your annual allocation too quickly. So you did your dithiopyr, let that ride out, and then when late December rolls around, do your prodiamine application. If you want to put some post-emergent herbicides in there as well for a little kicker to help knock out anything that you may have, any breakthrough you might have, that's a good idea. And then just could repeat that process. You can rotate back and forth if you want every 3 months. I'm a big fan of using dithiopyr in the springtime. It's a great product to control. That has some limited post-emergent control over crabgrass, which is why I like it in the spring. So hope that helps. Great question. If you need anything else, let me know. And enjoy that lawn. Keep it up. Keep it looking good. Keep out there. Stay out there. Keep mowing it. And if you have anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Next up is BB Nim. Let's see. It says, hey, Ron, silly question. Can I use coyote urine on my lawn without damaging it due to my ignorant neighbors letting their dog poop all over my lawn? I have talked to them and they refuse to do better. BB Nin, I've been asked a lot of questions. This is a first. I guess the thing it's interesting to me, I'd want to know is, how are you getting coyote urine? I mean, that's neither here. You didn't ask. That's not part of it. Where are you even getting that from? If you dilute it, I imagine it would be okay. What causes burning in a lawn is whenever you pour or whatever a dog urinates. Like, that's what female dogs get blamed for. But really, any kind of dog can do it because they tend to urinate in one spot, and that concentrated area, you tend to get burning. As long as you're diluting it and you're not like pouring it in one area, it should be okay. I don't know how much of a deterrent that's going to be to your neighbors. To your neighbor's dogs. I might just talk to him again, just ask him, hey, listen, I really just, I mean, you may have asked him once, but maybe ask him again and say, listen, I really don't want, your dogs using my my lawn as a toilet. Can you please not have them do that? I would do that before I introduce coyote or some other wild animal urine into my lawn. But to answer your question, as long as you dilute it and you don't pour it all in one spot, it should be just fine. But again, I have no direct experience with using coyote urine as a deterrent to keep dogs off of a lawn. And I'd imagine that if you did it, even if it worked, you'd have to keep doing it, right? It's not like you do it once, and then the dogs are like, "Whoa, he's here, and I'm never coming. I'm never going to go back to this lawn ever again." So I don't. I would still say that your time's gonna be better spent trying to talk to the neighbors versus continuing to use wild animal urine to try and keep the dogs away. Okay, next up is Cooper's dad. He says, hey, Ron, Northeast Georgia with zoysia. How it appears to be A small zoysia patch outbreak. When is fungus no longer a concern in the fall? Assume based on temperature. It's not so much temperature, Cooper's dad. It's also a conditions thing, right? So kind of like what I was saying earlier with zoysia. Zoysia is does not like being oversaturated. Like, you know, Bermuda will can tolerate being really, really wet. You know, Bermuda, as long as you don't mix a bunch of nitrogen with it in hotter temperatures, it tends to tolerate having a lot of water on it without too much issue. But zoysia really isn't that way. So if you are, you know, if your lawn drains properly, you know, if you don't have issues with where water would pool, and you're doing a fungicide, like this time of year, I would do one in October, and I'm a fan of doing another one in November. So twice in the year, once in October, once in November. I find produces a good result. In my case, again, it's largely to prevent spring dead spot. But if you've got an issue now, you know, putting your fungicide down would be a good insurance. When the lawn goes dormant, you know, you're less likely to for it to continue to realize injury. But I wouldn't say that it's definitely like a time of year thing, or anything like that. It's every lawn is different. You know what I mean? Like, you can have some lawns that never have disease problems, that drain properly, and they never have any problems. You have a lawn right next to it. Case in point, you look at the Real Rollers Turf Park. Which I actually got some video of it. I can show you guys that. Like, if you look at, this is the turf park as of a couple of days ago. So what you're looking at, it's to the left is El Toro. What you're looking in the middle is Xeon. And then what you're looking at is the right is Bermuda, that's being thinned out because it's going to be overseeded with perennial ryegrass. The Bermuda has never had a disease problem ever at any point. And all the time I've been out at the turf park throughout the seasons, it's never had a problem that I've ever seen. The zoysia, both of them are much more prone to it, and a lot of it has to do with just moisture. They get a lot of rain, and then those like big planters that the grass is growing in don't drain all that well. So you have issues with that. So it's not really a time of year; it's more so conditions, Cooper's dad. So what I would say to do is, if you've not done a preventative fungicide, I would highly recommend that. Like, and you really don't want, you don't want, if there's a disease problem that's starting to get out of hand. So, you know, your choice. Headway is a great product. Pillar SC is a good product, but putting down a preventative fungicide is cheap insurance to keep your lawn disease free, or to control a problem that you're having, like what you're dealing with. Okay, next up is L. Shep. He says, "Hey Ron, great show. I had your soil test and it came back with at a 7 on pH. That's on the high end, but it's not anything I'd really be too concerned about. The results suggested Lebanon 12024 or lawn food 15015. Since I'm a dude, I did both. Okay, I guess that's one approach. As long as the liquid, you back the rate down, that's really not an issue. I mean, what you did, El Shep, is what I do as far as how I feed my lawn. I use a liquid and a granular fertilizer throughout the growing season to keep my lawn looking its best. The big thing is you don't want to be using the liquid at full rates and the Lebanon at full rates. If you look on the bag for that, you'll see that there's a rate or a spreader setting for 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000. And there's one for 0.9, or we'll call it a pound of nitrogen per 1,000. If you're going to be using a liquid liquid fertilizer along with that, you're going to want to use that 1/2 pound per 1,000 rate. So that leaves you some headroom to still use liquid fertilizers without overdoing it. So good stuff. Yeah, if you like it, I love it. And he says, with me applying pre-emergent, will me applying pre-emergent work against these? This may be a dumb question, but I want to be safe. It's not a dumb question at all. Only dumb if you don't ask. And no, you applying pre-emergent is not going to negatively affect, it's not going to help or hurt your fertilizer application. Your fertilizer app is not going to help or hurt your pre-emergent application. The two are completely different universes. One is a preventative herbicide, and one is food for the plant, for the grass. So yeah, they're not no problem at all. You could technically, if you want to, you could do them all on the same day. If you're going to do that, I mean, you've already done it, but if you were going to do that, I would do your fertilizer, your granular first, and then the liquids afterwards. And I would end with the pre-emergent. So I would do the 12-20-24. I would do the lawn food, whatever liquid fertilizer you decided you're going to go with. And then I would, the last thing I would do is the prodiamine, the pre-emergent that you're gonna put down. Hope that helps. And then we got a Bulldog fan, West Coast Broad Wars in the house. He says, "Go Dogs! I like it, man. Listen, The Dogs, been winning, but haven't been playing their best. I'm glad to see that you're still holding the faith, still backing those Georgia Bulldogs, regardless of the fact they haven't been playing their best football this year. So they gotta do better once the season gets tougher. I mean, granted, I believe they're still undefeated, but I mean, it just hasn't been like convincing wins, right? Like they're not the trend is not one that I think is going to lead to a third national championship. But I'm fine to be wrong. All right, next up is DeMarculis Thompson. He says, greetings, Ron and crew. As we prepare for dormancy, are we still putting down the carbon kit while the grass is dormant? Dallas-Fort Worth, spectacle flow down 1.5 inches of rain 12 hours later. Awesome. Great, man. So you got water in for free. So to ask your question, as long as the grass is still growing and you're still mowing it, you can still use the liquid fertilizers. You can still use the carbon kit. So I'm not doing any more granular fertilizer on my lawn, but the carbon kit I'll still use. The lawn is still growing, so it's growing slowly, albeit, but I'll still use the 901C carbon kit on the lawn. It's just granular fertilizers in my case. Again, not saying that all you guys have to do the exact same thing that I'm doing, but for me, I really don't want to have issues with spring dead spots, so I cut off the granular nitrogen inputs a little bit earlier than I probably need to, but that's been working well for me over the past couple of seasons. But to answer your question, if you want to use the carbon kit while the lawn is going into dormancy or trending towards dormancy, that's fine. But once it's dormant, I don't do any. The only thing I would apply to a dormant lawn, or that I've applied to my lawn when it's dormant, is lime. I've done that. I've done lime applications, but I do lime. I don't do any liquids, and Essential G. So Essential G and lime is what you could do. But outside of that, like any kind of fertilizer, once it's dormant, leave it alone. Let it go to sleep. And when spring rolls around, that's when you can introduce fertilizer again. So a lime product, or I'll show you, or or Essential G, which is a granular biostimulant. So the rule with this is you can apply this pretty much year round as long as the ground isn't frozen. And the ground doesn't ever really freeze here in Georgia because we have relatively mild winters. So this, and then if your soil, if your lawn needs it, again, if based on your soil test results, just don't go out there and put lime on your lawn. Based on your soil test results, if your pH is low, your soil is more acidic, then you could use lime and then supplement with Essential G if you just got to scratch that itch and improve the quality of your soil over the winter months. So hope that helps. If you need anything else, let me know. DeMarculo, sounds like you're well on the right track to keep your lawn weed free. So keep doing what you're doing. Mark Romano says, aloha from Kauai, or I'm probably saying this wrong. Is it Kauai? Is that how you say that, the island? Cool, Mark. Thanks for letting me know which island you're from. And then next up, we have Four Oaks Lodging says, is it too late to fertilize in eastern North Carolina? No, not really. I mean, I did my last granular fertilizer app this past Saturday, Four Oaks Lodging. For granular apps, October is when I would do my last one. This is in my case. So you could do one granular app now and shut it down for the season. And then if you still want to spray liquids while the lawn is still actively growing, I don't see an issue with that. If you're interested, the fertilizer that I used on my Bermuda, and it's a great choice for Bermuda, zoysia, any kind of really all grass types, is the 12024. It's the pinned comment in the live stream. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, I'll also send you a link to it here in the chat. This is what I closed my lawn down with as far as granular inputs for the season. So yeah, not too late to fertilize your lawn. Again, I wouldn't be in November timeframe still putting down a granular fertilizer. Liquids I'd feel less serious about, but like granulars, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't want to keep doing granular because the chances of you starting to run into problems go up. You know what I mean? And really, the lawn is going to start slowing down. It's going to start going dormant. Like it's not a time to really start trying to push a bunch of growth by putting a lot of nitrogen into the soil. So that's why, for those reasons, I don't really recommend outside of like early October, this time frame, like continuing to hit your lawn with granular fertilizer. If you're in my part of the country, if you're in South Florida, south of I-4, then yeah, I mean your season never really stops. But where you are in East Central North Carolina, you're going to want to shut it down here soon from a standpoint of granular fertilizer. And if you want to see the fertilizer I'm talking about, again, it's a pinned comment, but this is the one that I used on my lawn. All right, next up is Gene the Lawn Brooks. Gene the Lawn Brooks. It says, greetings, lawn gang. Great discussion going as we move towards dormancy. Yeah, it's going to be here before you know it. It's going to be here before you know it. Get out there and continue mowing the lawn. And here's the thing. For those of you that have been asking, how do I keep my lawn looking green as it goes into dormancy? So one of the best things I can tell you is, one, don't get out there and push a bunch of extra nitrogen or increase your fertilizer inputs or anything like that. Be more careful with your mowing. It's like, make sure you're not taking off too much green whenever you mow the lawn, and that's going to help preserve the color as it transitions into dormancy. If you get out there and you scalp, this time of year, it's going to take longer if it recovers at all before going into dormancy. So that'd be my advice to you. If you want to keep the lawn looking nice, continue mowing it, but just make sure it's taking off just a little bit, just a taste each time. Don't. This is not the time of year if you have a warm season lawn for any major height of cut changes or anything like that, because you're not the grass is not growing fast enough that it's going to likely recover before it goes dormant. All right, next up is Kevin L. He says, my local water is really high in calcium. Could that translate to high calcium in the soil? It could. It also could be where you are in the country. Like whenever I look at soil tests from Texas, especially from Central Texas, with all of them, without fail, the calcium tends to be really high. So it could be just where you are in the country, that you have high calcium in your soil. The water is probably not helping, and there's not a whole lot you can really do about it, Kevin. So frankly, I really wouldn't worry about it. In other words, I see a lot of soil tests from lawns from all over the country. Lots of ones from where the samples, the soil has a high calcium levels, and that has not been a problem from keeping lawns looking great. So there's tons of awesome looking turf in Texas with high calcium soils. It tends to be the macros, and pH tends to be the biggest issue. So if your soil has enough nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and also the micronutrients are where they need to be. So it's got enough iron, some molybdenum, zinc, like those helper nutrients that supplement what the macros do. You're going to have a great looking lawn. Like, if you're doing everything else right, you're mowing it properly, you're watering it properly, high calcium itself is not going to hold you back from having having a good looking lawn. So I really wouldn't lose too much sleep over it. But depending on where you are in the country, it can be completely normal, and there's not a ton that you can do about it. All right, next up is Hustlonian says, "Are you okay?" I think so. I think I'm okay. It's been a long week, but I'm doing okay. You doing okay, Hustlonian? And then next up is Jordan Godman. He says, what are the benefits of watering twice per week of about 1 inch of water versus every day totaling 1 inch per week for Bermuda grass? So deeper, and so the conventional wisdom says deeper and less frequent watering causes the grass to produce deeper roots. Here's the thing. That's something, all I'm telling you is what you will hear. You hear tons of people repeat time and time again: don't water your grass every day. Don't do light watering every day. It's better to do infrequent, deeper watering. I've never actually tested that from a standpoint of taking a brand new lawn and putting, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch of water on it every day, and seeing whatever it works out to get to 1 inch of water per week, and comparing that to doing watering once every 2 days. What I will tell you is this: like I did do a test where I watered, I think it was a couple years ago. I watered every day for like 2 weeks, and I started having issues with Pythium. I had a Pythium problem outbreak in my lawn. So watering every day, not allowing the lawn, really the soil, a chance to dry out, can lead to can create conditions where disease can take root. But the idea behind watering once or twice per week more heavily is that it helps promote deeper roots versus watering every day for 5-10 minutes helps produce shallower roots, which a lawn that is with shallower roots, whenever you start getting into the summer months when it gets really hot, that stress is going to take root a lot faster. You're going to see it's not going to be as resilient to higher temperatures in a lawn with deeper roots. So I've been watering my lawn, pretty much twice per week during the hottest parts of the growing season for years, and I've gotten good results with it. As a matter of fact, if you want to see, I can show you what can come from that kind of a watering schedule. I think it's Carbonized PN is where I have it. So this is a picture of the profile of my soil. So this is like I was getting a sprinkler head replaced. So the dark is the surface and the light is what's deeper, right? And if you look at that, that's like 10 to 12 inches. So almost a foot is the height of that sample. And if you see that the roots are all protruding through the bottom of that. So it's really deep roots, 12-inch roots, that's really solid for Bermuda grass. If you were to only water very infrequently and the the root system might not look like this. So twice per week watering produces, along with everything else I do, produces a root system that looks like that, which is very resilient, which is why, like, take for example, when it gets really hot during the summer, like the color of my lawn really doesn't change that much. It doesn't really, like, I'll look at the other lawns in the neighborhood and they'll begin to yellow, begin to start feeling that stress. With my lawn, again, between the moisture managers that I use and also the deep root system that you see there that I showed you, it just does really well across a broad range of temperatures. So I would encourage you to water less frequently, once or twice per week. In my case, I do twice per week. A heavier cycle is going to produce good results. You're also going to reduce the chances of you having disease problems in the lawn if you do that. So hope that helps, Jordan. If you have any other questions, let me know. Twice per week watering I found works well. What you can do as well too, right? Let's say you're in the middle of the summer and it's really hot out and you're doing twice per week watering for the majority of your watering. And you have some days when the temperatures are getting into the high 90s, into the hundreds. If you want to run a light irrigation cycle, like a 3 to 5 minute irrigation cycle, to cool the grass down when it's hot, like the hottest part of the day, like that would be okay. So you're doing it more just to help cool the grass more so than as to try and get water into the soil. That would be fine. But I find twice per week watering has worked well for me. So give that, if you give that a shot. I mean, if you don't have an opinion about it, give twice per week watering a shot and let me know how it works out for you. I think it's going to be just fine. All right, next up is Kevin Barriga. He says, "Hey Ron, I dethatched / power raked and overseeded 2 weeks ago. Can I put down a fungicide?" Yeah. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's not gonna negatively impact your overseeding project, Kevin. Make sure you obviously follow the correct rates and apply the product per the recommendations. But yeah, that shouldn't have a negative effect on your overseeding project. What tends to cause issues with new grass when it comes to overseeding are in particular are herbicides. So herbicides, which you have to be careful with. Insecticides and fungicides, not so much. Herbicides you have to be careful with. If you use like a pre-emergent, that's going to negatively affect the results you get with your overseeding. If you use post-emergent, let's say you even use like a post-emergent herbicide that is safe for your grass type, but you spray brand new grass with it, the chances of you injuring that brand new grass is a lot higher than if you sprayed those same herbicides on a mature lawn. So herbicides are really the thing you need to be careful of, Kevin, when it comes to new grass, more so than fungicides or insecticides or fertilizer. Like of the three of those four, so fertilizer, insecticide, fungicide, and herbicides. Of those different categories, herbicides can wreak the most havoc on a brand new lawn. So go forth and apply your fungicide if you so desire, sir. Next up is Stuart Dukakis. No relation to Michael Dukakis, I guess. He says, "Greetings from Johnson City, Tennessee, with Tifway 419. Can't wait until next season. Lawn is just starting to go dormant. Revolution 26 comes in January. Planning to level in May, June." You're on your way, man. Wow, you got it all. You're good to go. You got it all planned out. So you got your new mower coming. You got your leveling project planned. Sounds like a good time. You are on your way. And again, the 26. I think you are going to really like that mower. It's a nice bit of kit. If you have not seen the videos that I did, Alex did, Real Rollers has like another video that is like more of like talking about all the features and benefits of the mower. Overall, it's a solid choice. You are going to enjoy using that mower, Stuart. So keep us posted as far as how it does. And you know what? Here's the thing. Even though you don't have the mower as yet, the fact that you've already ordered it, it's gonna be coming. We'll clap it up for you now. We'll go ahead and do it. It's outside the norm, but we'll go ahead and do that to give you congratulations on the new equipment. Once you get it, be sure to send us a picture so you can show off the new hardware. All right, next up, Neil White. He says, "Hey Ron, curious what your thoughts are about centipede grass. I don't know much about it. Is it a good grass compared to Bermuda or zoysia?" Well, I mean, first of all, Neil, let's be real here. I mean, there's nothing that's as good as Bermuda grass. I mean, zoysia is, close second. Not that I'm biased or anything. Um, as far as centipede grass, I don't know that much about it. I've never had a centipede lawn. From here are the benefits I'd say that Bermuda and zoysia have over centipede. If you're trying to control certain types of weeds, like say for example, you're trying to control crabgrass, like the amount of herbicides that you have access to for Bermuda and zoysia are broader, or you have more than what you can do for centipede grass. What else? Again, I don't have a centipede grass lawn, so I can't really tell you the pros and cons. Looking at it, I've seen pictures of it, and I don't think that it can look as it doesn't look as tight or has that carpet look. Like, for example, if you look at the turf park, the Rural Turf Park, like I've never seen a centipede lawn that looks like how that looks. You see how that's like a nice thick green lush carpet, and it's really nice and tight and dense. Like I've not seen centipede that looks quite like that. So from an appearance standpoint, I like the way that Bermuda and zoysia look over centipede. But it's really preference. It's really preference. It really depends on what if you got a centipede lawn, you like it, that's all that really matters. Like what I think about centipede doesn't really matter. The only thing that I would say is that from a just being more objective, that Bermuda and zoysia have as an advantage is that if you have crabgrass to control, you can use quinclorac on Bermuda and zoysia, and you can't really use that on centipede. So again, you have more options for best in category herbicides to control certain types of weeds that you can't really do on the centipede lawn. So if you like centipede, go for it, man. But for me, I like Bermuda and zoysia. I'll tell you, the one zoysia that I did not at first, I didn't really care for it. And I still don't like it in the springtime as much. If you have this, don't send me hate mail. I'm just giving my opinion. Is El Toro. So El Toro in the springtime, I don't really care for because it gets seed heads like crazy. It's insane how much how bad seed heads get with El Toro. But once you get past that, man, especially later on in the season, like August, September, like this time of year, it looks gorgeous, man. And the nice thing about I will give El Toro is that even if you scalp it, even if you cut it short, it grows, like the green grows so much further down on the grass blade on the leaf than say Bermuda does, that even if you have a little ouchie and you cut one area lower than another, it doesn't really show up. So that's a kind of a cool benefit to that particular grass type than that I like even more than Bermuda in some cases, right? So, all right, next up is 1-2. 1-2's up. He says, Ron, spent all summer working on landscape outside of Augusta. My lawn looks good, but is a little weedy. You said you apply pre-emergent in the fall and in March, right? What won't break the bank? Yeah, so yes, I do apply pre-emergent in the spring and the fall. In my case, I don't say March. I tend to do it earlier than that. So late, like early February, late February into early March. That's the latest I would do it. Yeah, as for my spring pre-emergent, and then for the fall pre-emergent, late August, early September is when I like to get that down. As far as options, you didn't say what kind of grass you have, but given that you're in Augusta, I'm imagining it is warm season grass. As far as options for pre-emergent, that won't break the bank. You've got prodiamine and dithiopyr. Either one of these guys are relatively cost-effective options for pre-emergent. They do a pretty good job. If you're talking like more of a Cadillac pre-emergent, spectacle flow as far as like control for poanua, as far as a long residual, like for example, prodiamine and dithiopyr, right? They will last for 3 to 4 months, depending on conditions. That's about the extent of coverage you're going to get out of them. Spectacle flow, really like 6 months and above. So the label says like up to 10 months, but I'd say 6 months is what you're going to get out of spectacle flow, depending on how you apply it. So like 3 months of control, and then up to 6 months of 6 months of control with better control. So if you're trying to say you're trying to keep poanua out of your lawn in Augusta. If you were to use prodiamine and dithiopyr, them by themselves, they will do better than not doing pre-emergent at all, but you will still likely have some breakthrough when it comes to poanua if you use those pre-emergents. If you use spectacle, it's going to be an order of magnitude better. You shouldn't have very much breakthrough with Spectacle, assuming you applied it properly. You applied it prior to the POA beginning to germinate. Like I've not seen anything that quite matches Spectacle when it comes to keeping a lawn weed free over the fall months going into the spring. There are some blends you can do with prodiamine that get kind of close. Like you can take prodiamine, simazine, and an image and amazoquin and spray that, and that does a pretty good job, but it's still not quite as good as Spectacle, and it doesn't last as long as Spectacle Flow does. So I'll send you a link here to the section with pre-emergence. Again, prodiamine is a good choice for this time of year. You're trying to do something and not spend too much, but again, it truly is a case where you get what you pay for when it comes to, like most things in life, but definitely when it comes to pre-emergent herbicides. Like Spectacle is an excellent product. If you spring for it, you will not regret it. Okay, next up we got Paul Stevens. Nothing here on the gram. See, I think Shauna was here, but I don't see anything from her. Nope. Okay. Next up is Paul Stevens. He says, when applying Primo and Iron, can you use post-emergent with the same spray? It all has to be dry, or would you separate the two? Enjoy your live streams, Ron. Well done. Could you spray Primo along with post-emergent herbicides? I've never done that, Paul. And really, unless you're blanketing the entire lawn, I don't see a situation where you would do that. Like, so let's say because I'm trying to think, if you're in a scenario where you're spraying the entire lawn with a post-emergent herbicide, like you're going to have a lawn, that's for a lawn that's pretty much weed infested, right? And in that case, I don't know why you'd want to regulate growth. Like once the weeds are dead, you're going to want, or under control, you're going to want the grass that is left back after the weeds are under control to grow, quickly and help fill in the bare areas. So I've not really heard of anyone mixing Primo along with a post-emergent herbicide and blanket spraying, like, that combination. If you were going to do that, I would omit surfactant. I would not use surfactant along with Primo, because the likelihood of you getting tip burn or some temporary yellowing if you were to have some surfactant in the tank along with herbicide, along with Primo, is going to go up. So again, I can't see a case where you would really use Primo and a post-emergent herbicide, because again, if your Primo is designed to blanket spray, you're supposed to spray the entire lawn with it, and post-emergent herbicides, again, not to repeat myself, but if you're blanket spraying along with post-emergent herbicides, there's likely weeds all throughout the lawn, and that wouldn't be a case where you'd want to regulate growth. You wouldn't want to really slow down the grass from growing. But if you're going to do it, I would omit surfactant. So give it a shot. Let me know. It's not something I've ever tried. It's not something I've ever even heard of being done. I'll have to ask some of my buddies. I say, hey guys, you ever mixed like Primo along with like Celsius and Certainty and sprayed that? I'll have to ask them and see what they come back with. I think they're going to probably tell me the same thing I'm going to tell you. They're gonna probably like, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm just asking you. Have you ever done it? So I'll look into that, Paul, and see if there's any of my friends that have spray businesses have done that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear a no, because I've not heard anyone ever doing that before. All right, next up is Edward Beasley. He says, hey, Ron, is it too late to use pre-emergent in Michigan? And what is an inexpensive one to use for a warm season lawn? Thanks. It's not too late, Edward. Here's the thing. It's really never too late. I mean, what you'll find is you'll just get less good control the longer you wait into the season. So is it too late? No. If you're looking for an option that's not going to break the bank, not going to be too expensive, go with prodiamine. So this guy here, I still have it pulled up from the last question. As far as best, in my opinion, for warm season turf, Spectacle Flow. You can't really do much better than that. And then for a more cost-effective option, prodiamine. So you've got it in granular and also in liquid form. So you know what kind of grass you have, but if you have a Bermuda lawn, this 5 ounce will treat up to 6,000 square feet. If you got more than 6,000 square feet, then you could go with the 5 pound jug. And if you prefer granular, you could go with the bag, in granular form. So prodiamine would be your jam if you're trying to save some coin and still get some pre-emergent down. It is not too late, but again, earlier is better than late when it comes to pre-emergent, especially with you being in Michigan. Yeah, definitely get your pre-emergent down. I would not wait to too much longer. When it comes to pre-emergent, early is better than late. Early is better than late. So you can take that to the bank. A little bit early is better. 2 weeks early is better than 2 weeks late when it comes to pre-emergent. So yeah, but if you want an option, go with prodiamine. Edward, here is a link to where you can find that at Edward Beasley. And there you go. All right, good stuff. All right, next up, we have Colin. Colin's back in the house. He says, yes, the picture I sent to you of the backyard is paspalum. See, I remembered a little bit. Not too bad. I got memories there a little bit. He was planning on putting it in the front yard next to. Most likely we'll be doing that in this upcoming season around February or so. Nice. Very cool. It looks good, man. I got to tell you. It's a good looking grass type. Paspalum is one of those grass types that you go through the label, you're reading through the label for products that you can apply, or like the grasses that a certain herbicide are labeled for use on, and you'll see it there. You'll see it listed there on occasion, but it's not one that we don't have those lawns around here. So yeah, but it looks good. It's cool. At first I thought it was like a fescue you're mowing shorter or something, but it's a good looking grass. I have to admit, it looks good. It's pretty. It's pretty. Next up is No Name. He says, hey, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Looking forward to some great lawn chat on this rainy evening. Let's get those likes up. Is it raining outside, No Name? I don't see any. It's not raining where I am. I know you're in Georgia as well, too. But now we're not. You need to send some of it up here. We haven't gotten any. We haven't gotten any today. Had some yesterday, but none today. So yeah, but guys, if you guys are enjoying the live stream, we've only got 86 likes. There's 115 of you guys so in the live stream at this moment in time. So if you guys would not mind hitting that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel. It sends good vibes to YouTube, gets more folks to come hang out with us, and makes the show that much more fun. On the topic of live stream, guys, I should say this now before we get too late in the show, is next week, twice a year, we have the whole karate thing, right? We're black belt test. So next weekend is the actual black belt test, which I'm going to be going. I'm not going to be here Friday night, is what I'm trying to say, because I have to help proctor that. So what I'm thinking is we're going to move the live stream to likely Wednesday night. I was thinking about doing it Thursday night, but then if it goes really late and I want to get a good night's sleep before having to go through and do that. So I want to make sure I'm fresh on Friday. So we'll do it on Wednesday night. So you guys, for those of you guys that are marking your calendars, pay attention to that. I'll get it scheduled Sunday or Monday, so you have some time to have it, in your feed. But for next week alone, it's going to be on Wednesday. Wednesday night, what is Wednesday? Wednesday is the 11th. So Wednesday, October 11th is when the live stream will be next week, because again, I got a black belt test that Friday night. So I got to do that. All right, we got a super chat in the house. Thank you so much. Starting it off tonight from Camus 83489. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
Super chat received.
He says, hey, I'm in the Chicago area. Is it too late for me to overseed? I just bought my dethatcher and I've dethatched a bit. It's a bit later than I would want to do it, Camus. Really, August, September timeframe is the time. Late August, early September timeframe is a good time to do your seeding project. You can do it now. It'll just be interesting to see like how well the lawn is able to get, the new seed is able to get established before you guys get your first frost. If you've already got your dethatcher and you want to go out and put your grass seed down, by all means go for it. Just know that if you do that, it might not establish as well as it would have had you done it a month ago. So yeah, it's not too late. It's not in the ideal time of year to do it, but you can still, again, if you don't mind the fact that you might lose the grass seed, then go for it. Not going to really hurt anything. And thank you so much for the super chat. With you being the first super chat right now for the evening, for the show so far, you are our show sponsor. So here we go. Your name in lights. I'm not going to forget this time. Your name in lights, for whatever that means to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. And I get it. You got your dethatcher. You're good to go. You're like, hey, I want to get up there. I detach the lawn. It's thinned out. I want to throw some grass seeds down. Go ahead and throw your grass seed down. Go have fun with it. Again, I can't say that it's going to produce the best result, but it's not. It's only a little bit of seed. It won't hurt anything. You're not committing some cardinal sin if you do that. Thank you so much for all the for the super chat. I really do appreciate the support. And again, if you have any other questions, let me know. All right, let me put some some Tango Bolero on for LG as I scroll back up and try and find the next question. Always the hardest part of going down for the super chats, right? All right. All right, next up we have Timothy Gonzalez. I think I've got him here. Timothy Gonzalez says, "Hey Ron, love the channel." Thank you, I really do appreciate that. This is thank you for all the help. He says, "I'm in Northwest New Mexico and I have Bermuda." Nice. How often can you apply chelated iron 6% to a lawn? So as far as liquids, I do them every 2 weeks whenever the lawn is actively growing. Timothy, a 6% iron product. I don't use any products that have quite that much iron in it. What I would say is this: if you want to spray it every couple of weeks, whatever the label rates are, I would back them down, because the rates on the label will likely be, hey, you sprayed this many ounces of the product over this many square feet, or over 1,000 square feet, and you do that once per month. If you want to apply it or spray the iron every couple of weeks, you just want something to do, and you want to have the color be more consistent, you can take whatever that rate is and cut it in half and spray it every couple of weeks. So yeah, that's what would be my guidance. Take whatever the label calls for and stick to that. If you only want to do it once per month, spray it once per month. But if you want more consistency in color, spray every 2 weeks. Just make sure you take whatever the label calls for and cut it in half, and you'll be good to go. It's a good question. Again, I don't use any 6% iron products. The product that I used in the past, I don't think they even really sell it anymore. Was a product called Supreme Green, brand Supreme Green. I think it had like 4.5, almost 5% iron in it. It's a great product, but you don't really you can't really find it. Can't really find it anymore. And with that one, I was only doing it once per month, only applying it once per month, and it produced a great result. So yeah, if you want, every couple of weeks is the most I would do it, and I would take whatever the rate is on the label and cut that in half if you're going to go that route. Good question. All right, next up, we have West Coast Broad War. He says, "At Ron, thanks. I'll take a look at the store. I appreciate the work you do." Thank you so much, West Coast. I really do appreciate that. And I was just messing with you, right? I know you're an Alabama fan, and I am a Nick Saban fan. Even though he was the bane of Georgia's existence for countless seasons, he's still arguably the best coach in college football, like, ever. And or at least in recent times, we'll say that. I'm sure there's people, if you go back further, that were also good. But he, in the last 20 years, I think he's the guy to beat. So yeah. Hopefully they have a better season this year than in years past. I don't think they've already had a couple of losses, but we shall see, right? All right, next up, we have Todd. Todd's in the house. He says, "I have a high phosphorus, low nitrogen, and low potassium zoysia lawn going into dormancy. Should I correct the soil in the spring or address over the winter?" So if you are looking to raise your nitrogen and phosphorus levels this time of year, Todd, I would do, I'm not sure what part of the country you're in, but if you want to do an application of like the fertilizer that's linked in the chat on YouTube, the Stress 12024, that's a great product. It's a good winterizer fertilizer. It's got some nitrogen in it. It has no phosphorus because you don't need any phosphorus, and it's got 24% potassium, which is a great option, a great nutrient to load up on as a lawn is going into dormancy. And then you can just continue in the spring. So you've done your soil test now, obviously. Whenever late February rolls around, you could do another soil test, see where your nutrient levels are at that point, and then treat your lawn accordingly. Use what you get from your late winter, early spring soil test results to set up your nutrient program for the 2024 season. But you can do one more application this year if you want. And again, the product that I would go with is it's linked in the chat, but it would be this guy. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to shop, go to lawn fertilizer, and then go to the Stress 12024, you'll see it has nitrogen, it has potassium, it has no phosphorus. This also has some humic acid in it, a bit of kelp, and it also has a micronutrient package as well, a little bit of iron in there as well. So it's a great product based on what you're telling me in your soil test results. I would do a single application of this, and then I would call it good for the rest of 2023. In 2024, you could pick it up again with this same product if you wanted to, or switch to Humic Max. I'll show you here. It's another option. So this or this guy would be great options for correcting a soil that needs nitrogen and potassium, but no phosphorus. So hope that helps, sir. I'll send you links to where you can pick them up, or at least look into them a bit more here in the chat. If you have any other questions, do let me know. And good job on getting a soil test done, man. I gotta hand it to you. Like, people, it's literally one of the best investments you can make in your lawn care program. I have so many people, just not to beat this to death too much, but I'm gonna go off on a little rant here. I have so many people that will spend, thousands of dollars on a mower. They'll spend thousands of dollars on other equipment and top dressing, but they won't do a soil test. And I'm like, man, look, literally, like, trying to run a serious nutrient program for your lawn and without soil test results would be along the lines of you going to the doctor and you walk into the lobby and you got something wrong with you, looking at your lawn, kind of like your lawn, something's wrong with it. It's not looking great. You can't figure out what's going on with it. It'd be like you not feeling well, going to the doctor, you walk into the lobby, you fill out some paperwork, and before they check your blood pressure, they do any studies, they do any blood draw, do any kind of studies at all. The nurse walks out and says, like, I said, Mr. Henry, here's your prescription. Go to the nearest CVS or Walgreens or whatever your pharmacy of choice is. Get this filled, and visit us. Let us know in 3-4 weeks if you have any problems. Like, you would look at them. If they were crazy, then you'd probably call your attorney and try and sue them, right? But there's no way you would ever do that. But yet, countless people do that with their lawns, where they just guess as far as what the soil needs, and then they wonder why they don't get the best results. You know what I mean? If you want to get a great lawn, it's really simple. I'll show you. We've got it broken down here on the store, and it's a really simple infographic that anyone can follow. At a high level, this is how you get an awesome lawn. Step one, eliminate weeds. Step 2, do a soil test. Step 3, fertilize your lawn based on those soil test results. And then step 4 is mow, and mow some more. And when you think you've mowed enough, mow one more time, because that's the thing that most people do not do once they've done all the other things. And then step 5, the byproduct, the thing that you just can't help happen if you do these other things, is you get a great lawn. You know what I mean? So great grass, great turf, starts with great soil, and the way you create great soil is by making sure the nutrients are where they need to be, and the way you know that is by doing a soil test. So literally, one of these guys is like the best $30 you'll spend in your lawn care program. It's like, it's cheaper than a bag of fertilizer. You can't even fill up your car for the cost of one of these. So if you only do it one time, it's worth it just to know what's going on. So good job, Todd. I just want to take your comment as a kudos on the importance of soil testing, and keep doing it. Good stuff. All right, next up, we got Luckner Payan says, hi, Ron. Follow up. Says, I plan to dethatch next spring. I have a lot of weeds in my lawn. Is it best to add herbicide now or next spring when I dethatch? So if you want to control the weeds in your lawn now, you can do that now. Like, I would not wait till next spring to try and get the weeds that you've got in your lawn under control. I haven't seen your lawn, but if it were me, I would use a herbicide that's appropriate for your grass type to control the weeds that you have going on now. And I would also apply a pre-emergent. That's going to set yourself up so that when next spring rolls around, you're going to be dealing with less weeds. And then when you go to take the step of, dethatching, turf raking, scarifying, thinning out the turf, whatever that process you decide to use, you're going to be ahead of the game. So in other words, you don't want to, by letting the lawn go now, by saying, I'm not going to do anything now, I'm not going to do pre-emergent, I'm not going to use any post-emergent herbicides to clean up the weeds in my lawn now, you're just creating more pain for yourself next year. So I would start now, start cleaning up the weeds in the lawn now, get a pre-emergent down now, and then next year you can continue with exactly what you're planning to do. That's going to help produce the best result. Now, as far as you're probably going to ask me and say, well, what should I do as far as herbicides, pre-emergent, post-emergent? What does all that mean? What should I be using to keep my lawn weed-free now, or to control weeds in my lawn now? If you go to resources and blog, you will find that we have an article that we did in August. This is a couple months ago at this point, on the ultimate guide to fall weed control. Talks about the role of pre and post-emergent herbicides in maintaining a lawn that is weed-free, identifying common lawn weeds, how to master post-emergent herbicides, how to use pre-emergent and post-emergent herbicides to achieve optimal results. It then goes into a couple of different options for herbicides, like the cool season and warm season kits that we offer. But yeah, it's a good read. This is really worth looking into, Lukener, if you're serious about doing all you can to set yourself up for next season. Like I would start now. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't wait. Like it's like weed problems in your lawn only get worse with time. They don't typically get better on their own. So take a look at this article. Depending on your grass types, I'm going to send you this first. So this is the link to that blog post on the guide to weed control in the fall. And then, as depending on your grass type, we have two kits. One for cool season grass. If you go to shop and the weed killer, you'll see we have a warm season grass kit where it's orange at the top. So this is for your Bermuda, Zoysia, St. Augustine grasses, centipede grasses. And if you have fescue, rye, Kentucky bluegrass, any of the cool season grasses, that's where the cool season herbicide kit comes in. So these are appropriate for the given grass type. Make sure you go through and read the product descriptions to know, which one is going to be the best fit for your lawn. But these guys, for warm season grass, Celsius and Certainty are a great and excellent combination for cleaning up weeds in warm season turf while minimizing injury to your grass. For a cool season lawn, I'm a big fan of Tenacity and Sedgehammer. These are both also excellent herbicides. The nice thing about these is that none of them have temperature restrictions, meaning you can use them this time of year when it's cooler, and you can also use them in the summer when temperatures are hotter with far less chance of injuring your grass than if you use other products. Like we have another herbicide here that's also an option for warm and cool season grass, like this guy here. Like this is like a three-way. That can also work well too, but it's more temperature sensitive. You want to be more careful around the time of year when you use this, whereas with again, the herbicides in the warm season kit, no real concerns. With the herbicides in the cool season kit, no real concerns. So read that article, that the blog post that I sent you there, and then I'll also give you a link here to that collection of herbicides so you can get the right ones for your grass and get you ahead of the curve. So hope that helps. Definitely start working on it now. And even though you didn't ask about this, as far as dethatching, I know like dethatching is a term that's thrown around a lot, and even though most people say dethatching, I think they mean like thinning out the lawn, right? What I would encourage you to do is to do turf raking or scarifying. That's going to be less aggressive on the lawn than running an actual dethatcher. So to show you really quickly here, an actual dethatcher looks like this. So this is an actual dethatcher. And if you look at this guy, that's very aggressive. Like that's gonna rip and tear at the turf. It's gonna do for most lawns, it does more harm than good. But what I would say, if you're trying to relieve or reduce thatch levels in your lawn, a better option is to power rake or to use a tool that looks like this. They call it, like Alec calls it, a scarifier. You can also be called a turf rake. Like you can buy one of these on Amazon, like I think Sun Joe and a couple of the companies make them. But something like this to reduce thatch levels and remove debris out of your lawn, it's a lot more gentle. It's you're going to cause less injury, less stress to the turf, and like this is the way I would go versus using an actual dethatcher. Like most lawns truly don't need a dethatcher. You'd be better off doing a couple rounds of turf raking or scarifying versus running a dethatcher on the lawn. So hope that helps. You're all squared away. I gave you my thoughts on dethatching, and you also got some reading material for you on controlling weeds. And to answer your question, I would start now. Would not wait. All right, next up is Drew's Lawn Care. He says, what's a good measuring scale for prodiamine? Any kind of any ounce scale. I can find one for you. Find one for you here really quick. Drew, there's one that I use. I just got it on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it really quick. If you go look at any of my YouTube videos that talk about pre-emergent application, right? If you look at any of those, in the description, you will see a link to a scale. Like especially if it's prodiamine. If it's prodiamine, you'll see a link to one of these scales. So I think this guy should have it. And yeah, precision measuring scale. Here we go, right there. Cool. So make sure that the link is still good, and it is. Yep, cool. So this will do the trick for you. It doesn't have to be anything special. You don't need to break the bank on, like, this one is $23. It's not crazy expensive. It's not crazy amounts of money. So this is what I would go with, Drews. It's accurate enough for what we're doing with herbicides or for whatever product you're measuring out. And this is what it looks like. I'm gonna pull it up here really quick. Get Amazon up. That's what you're working with. So something like that. Again, not super expensive. The reason why I like these two is that the buttons, like they're capacitive. Like there's not like an actual depression or an open cavity for like water or the herbicide to get into. So as far as being able to wipe it down and have it stay clean once you're done, that's why I like these types. And again, $23, you can't really go wrong as far as that goes. Like I've have one that I've had for, I don't know, 5 years at this point, so they don't really break. You just put batteries in it and they last a long time. And that is what I would go with. And if you're Drew's Lawn Care, if you're a lawn care service and you got to like go out on location and measure stuff out, it's small enough that you could have it, in your kit, and it's not going to be too much of a hassle to lug around. And then next is Lukener. He's back. He says, what is a good, also, is it recommended to add lime and herbicide at once? So if you're going to do that, I mean, could you do lime and also control weeds in your lawn at the same time, or on the same day? Yes. The order that I would do them in is I would apply the lime first, and then I would spray whatever herbicides you've decided on for your particular grass type, depending on the weed you're trying to control. So in general, I like to do granulars and then liquids first. So if you think about it, like lime needs to be watered in, right? And even though you're going to be spraying it at a rate that's relatively light, it's not really going to be enough to really water the lime in. At the same time, you don't want to go out and spray the entire lawn with herbicides and then you run out there and then walk through an entire lawn you just got through spraying with herbicides with lime. I'm a fan of doing granulars first, then followed by your liquid products. So to answer your question, yes, you can do lime and herbicides on the same day. Is it recommended? Only if it's necessary. Only if your soil test results say that your soil is acidic and it could benefit from a lime application, then yes. But you shouldn't just go out there and just apply lime just for the sake of applying it. Like, you only really apply lime, you only apply a sulfate if your soil test results say that your pH needs adjustment. So hope that helps. But yeah, to answer your question, they can both be applied on the same day without issue. I would do the lime first. All right, we got Dad Who Mows Best is in the chat. He's hanging out with us tonight on Instagram. What's going on? Zamora. Got a few other folks here. Mr. Robert Rainey. I see you, Robert. I see you here. See you there, man. Let's see. We got Jordan Jones. Robert, now, I know you sent me that picture, but I didn't, you didn't tell me if it was okay to show on the live stream. So I didn't want to be too presumptuous and show off your work. So maybe, I think if you're good with it, I'll show, but if not, if you want to wait for it to be, looking better, then I will wait, and then you can send us a picture of how things are developing even more so, and we can show that one. So it's up to you, your call. You tell me which way you want to go with that. All right, let's move on find our next question, which is from Mr. Robert Rainey. He's here. He says, "Happy Friday." Almost like I planned that. Happy Friday. Do you have a recommendation on pre-emergent for sissy grass, perennial ryegrass, after it's established? Something that will control late winter weeds. For a pre-emergent, not really, Robert. So, here's the thing. So, Robert, I think you've kind of given me, based on your question, I got to give them context as to why you're asking this. So let me get this image up here and I can show you really quick. So Robert did a thing. Robert is Mr. Captain, never can leave well enough alone. I thought I was someone that can never leave well enough alone, but Robert really has gotten the trophy. You know what I mean? Like, that's always the mark of a good teacher, that whoever the people that you try and help out and that you teach, that they surpass you, right? So shows I'm doing a good job. And I was talking about overseeding my lawn this year with ryegrass. I was kind of like, I don't know. I chickened out at the end. But Robert, Mr. Full Send, this is what he's working with. So what his lawn is. It's a Bermuda grass lawn, but now you can see it's covered in perennial ryegrass. And it's growing in really good. So you did a good job, Robert. I can see an area there, maybe at like, I don't know, like in front of the satellite dish. Like that's a little bit thin, that's still growing in, but overall it's coming in really nicely. So I do like what's going on there. As far as pre-emergent, I really wouldn't do that on a brand new lawn like what you've got there. Like if you like really if you look at the conventional wisdom, the guidance for using pre-emergent on cool season grass, you really want to give it a year at the soonest 6 months. So if you don't want to take the chance of injuring your brand new lawn, damaging the roots of your brand new lawn, I would not do pre-emergent. What I would say is, because you're now in that club, right? You're going to be doing, you're in the overseeded Bermuda club, used post-emergent herbicides to control any weeds that happen to come in. So, in your case, the Bermuda is going to be dormant here relatively soon, right? And then the ryegrass will still be growing. So in your case, tenacity, a three-way. So something like, actually, if you want to be safer, you could avoid tenacity for now, because because in your case, if the Bermuda is not quite dormant, you've got weeds in the ryegrass lawn, then something like this, a three-way like triad, would be the way to go, because this is safe for Bermuda and your ryegrass. So this, as far as like a broad spectrum herbicide that does a decent job, something like this is what I would go with. Again, if you're certain the Bermuda is completely dormant, you could go with tenacity, but you really want to make sure the Bermuda is dormant before you spray this on your lawn, because you don't want to take a chance of injuring the grass you really care about, which is your Bermuda, right? So triad or any three-way that you can get your hands on would be a good way to control weeds that will come in as the season progresses. But I really would avoid pre-emergent on your lawn if you don't want to take a chance of injuring your newly overseeded ryegrass. I wouldn't do pre-emergent. So hope that helps. You already know where to find the herbicides that I mentioned, but to make it easy for you, and because of all the people that I know named Robert Rainey, you're by far my favorite. This is where you can find them. So hope that helps, sir. Lawn looks awesome. When I saw that picture, I almost regretted it just a little bit not doing my lawn. I was like saying, man, my lawn could look like that right now. It'd be pretty awesome. Maybe next year. So, but here's what I'll do, Robert. I'm going to track how it goes for you, and not right now, because right now is the party phase. Right now is like the honeymoon phase. Even when everyone else's lawn is dormant, now is when things are, it's a party. It's really March, April timeframe is when I want to, keep tracks of how the lawn does as you get rid of the ryegrass, so the Bermuda can grow in. That's when I want to really see how you're feeling about it. So, no pre-emergent, stick to post-emergent herbicides. Great job. The seeding project looks like it's coming together really nicely. Can't wait to see you laying some stripes. Here's the thing, man. If we do like a stripe action competition for, here in the late fall, you might have to go up against Devin now. I mean, he's got a cool season lawn, and you got one now too. So, you might be able to give him a run for his money. Might be good. The Clash of the Titans, right? See you guys come together. Would be cool. So think about it. All right, next up is Jared George. Actually, no, first of all, I have a question here on Instagram. It says, when do I reseed Bermuda that doesn't have grass there anymore, just weeds? Okay, so what I would say, real hopeful to, is I wouldn't recommend that you use grass seed as a way to establish a Bermuda lawn. Like if you have a lawn that is largely grown in, but you got a few areas that there were some problems with weeds that you controlled and you cleaned up after the fact, then I would get a plugging tool. There's a tool called a Pro Plugger, and I would use that to transfer plugs, so little like plugs of grass from your existing lawn, into the areas where the bare spots are. The reason for that is if you do that, you're guaranteed that whenever that grass does grow and fill in, it's going to match your existing lawn. If you go out and you apply grass seed for Bermuda, especially if you have like a Tifway 419 lawn, or like if you have a Tifway lawn and you go out and you go buy grass seed from one of the big box stores or any common Bermuda, it's not going to match. And the thing with Bermuda is once it's there, it's incredibly difficult to get rid of it. So if you want it to match, I'd highly recommend that you take the route of plugging, like transferring plugs from your existing lawn into that area. Another thing to consider too is that this time of year is not a good time to try and grow Bermuda from grass seed anyway. The temperatures are getting too cool. It's not the time of year to do it. If you want to try transferring plugs this time of year, that I would feel less less bad about. But with grass seed, you're really going to be wasting your time if you try and establish a Bermuda lawn using seed right now. So hope that helps. Don't I would encourage you again to not go the grass seed route to fill in these bare areas. Get plugs. So there's a tool, if you go on Amazon, you look for it, it's called Pro Plugger. I'll actually get a link for it and I'll send it to you here in the chat. Look that up. That's going to be a better way of fixing or repairing the damage from the bare spot areas in your lawn that are left after you got rid of the weeds. You know what I mean? So hope that helps. This is a link to the product, and if you have any other questions, let me know. But let's do the plugging route. Let's avoid grass seed. Okay. Next up is Jared George. So Jared, you're up now. He says, when applying liquid fungicide, liquid fertilizer, can I turf rake and mow on the same day, like right before, or do I need a waiting period? Sorry, I missed last week. Yeah, we did miss you last week, Jared. It's okay though. You're back now. Can you do liquid fertilizer and fungicide on the same days you turf rake and mow? Yes, absolutely. So the way I would do it is the order you're saying. I would turf rake first, I would mow afterwards, and then I would do the liquid fertilizer, and then finally followed by the fungicide. So depending on the product you're using, if the liquid fertilizer you're using needs to be watered in, you could mix the fungicide and liquid fertilizer and spray them at the same time. But typically the order that I like to apply products, Jared, any of the sides, so herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, I tend to like to do those last. So I spray those and then I'm off the lawn. But yes, mow, so turf rake, mow, and then apply your products. And yes, you can do all of that on the same day. No problem at all. Good stuff, man. I like it. I like it. Good. It sounds like a fun project. And again, if you are, if they can be mixed, if the liquid fertilizer you're using is one that needs to be watered in after application, then yeah, I would just save time and apply it along with the fungicide. I'd mix it and save yourself some time, sir. Save yourself some time. All right. Next up, you said, if I had a longer form question, can I email during the stream or should I email after and you'll answer the email directly or next week? Thanks for all you do, Ron. Now, here's the thing, Jared, only because it's you. If you email me, I will answer via email. How's that? If you send me an email with the long form question, I'll answer the email. I mean, I answer everyone's emails for the most part, right? If it doesn't get lost in the sea email that I get. What I will ask though is if you're going to email me, and this is not only for Jared, it's for anyone that sends me an email asking a question about that's lawn care related. The more concise you can be, the better. Like if you're going to give me some history of the lawn, that's fine as long as it's relevant to the question. But sometimes I get email and it's like it's an essay, like you're talking about like 2 pages of content. It's just too much to read when really all that really boils down to like a single question you have. So it's fine to provide background, provide what you've done. But try and make it as concise as possible. If you email me and like 3 days go by and I don't answer, email me again. Just if you feel free to email me again, you're not gonna be bugging me. It just means that I got busy doing something and I probably saw it, but then I got distracted doing something else, or I set aside time to do it and I just didn't get to it. So if 3 days go by and you don't get a response from me, you can always feel free to drop me a line again, and then I will I'll get you an answer. My email address is ron@golfcourselawn.com. That is where you can send me the email, and I will do my best to help you out. But again, try and make it as concise as possible, and we will go from there. Next, Joshua Araya is back. He is back. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing your last name, Joshua. Or Josue, if I am, I apologize. He says, how short should I be cutting my lawn if it's new sod? I just moved into my house, my first home here in southern Georgia in the beginning of September, and I've been afraid to go lower than 2 inches. 2 inches is fine, Josue. I mean, it sounds like you're using a rotary mower. That's what I would imagine. Bermuda really thrives. It does incredibly well at cutting heights of 1.5 inches and lower. But once you start getting to those heights, you're getting into the point where you're going to need a specialized or a different mower called a reel mower. If you're cutting it currently at 2 inches, I would stay right there. 2 inches with a rotary mower is just fine for Bermuda. There's no need to really go much lower than that. So no. To answer your question, no, you don't need to be adjusting your height of cut. And the thing to keep in mind too is, given the time of year, if you try and change the height of cut, any measurable amount, so you're going to go from 2 inches to 1.5 inches, you are going to discolor the lawn, like it's going to be brown if you do that. And given that temperatures are cooling off, it might not green back up before it goes dormant. So I would leave it at 2 inches. If next year you want to take the challenge of maintaining it a little bit shorter, 1 3/4, maybe 1.5 inches, assuming the lawn is smooth enough to be able to do that with a rotary, then I would say that for next year. But just leave it at 2 inches for now to close out the season, and you'll be just fine. Yeah, good stuff. I wouldn't change it this just yet this late in the season. And congrats on the new place, man. Congrats on the new place. Congrats on the new lawn. And good job on getting out there with a mower already. You know, like you're new to the game, and you didn't send me an email or ask a question saying what fertilizers should I be applying and this and the other. The first question you had was around mowing, which is awesome because mowing is by far the most important thing to the appearance of an amazing lawn. You know, once you think about it, once you kill the weeds in your lawn, you control the weeds in your lawn, that's something you're going to do, you know, pre-emergent twice a year, post-emergent every now and then as needed. So you're talking a handful of times throughout the entire year. Fertilizing your lawn, if you're doing a granular, you're going to do it once per month. So starting in March, maybe April timeframe, depending on where you are, once per month, you're going to be doing that. And then if you're doing some of the more things, some of the more other practices that I talk about, like doing spoon feeding, you'll be out there spraying with a backpack sprayer liquids twice per month. But as much as that sounds, you're going to be mowing your lawn at a minimum, if you're really serious about a great looking lawn, twice per week. So mowing is by far the thing that really, consistent mowing is the thing by far that really sets a lawn apart as far as appearance. You know what I mean? So if you're doing all the other things and you're not mowing regularly, you're not, you know, you're kind of working against yourself, you know. So if given the choice, I would make sure that a person is consistent with their mowing, again, at least twice a week when the grass is actively growing, and that's, you're setting yourself up for success. You're already doing something that most people are not going to do, which is going to allow you to have you know, great looking stand of turf if you're consistent with it. So good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna make a note of that question. It's a good one, Joshua, or Joshua. How do you say your name, Josue? I think it's Josue. I think Josue Rix. Your last name looks Latin, looks Spanish, so I would think it's Josue. Maybe we'll see. All right. Next up is always baked, never fried. Nothing ever fried. Some things are better fried. Always baked, never fried says, "Good evening, Ron. For next season, what would be your advice to a rookie that thought the way to fix their lawn was throwing any seed he could get his hands on?" Well, so if you started this, depending on how bad it is, I mean, so it's a tough question to answer. By the way you're asking it, I'm assuming that you threw tons of different grass seed in your lawn, and you've got a mess of grass in your lawn now. You've got, like, you know, all different types of grass, and you may not like the way it looks. If you have a situation where you've got some common Bermuda, hybrid Bermuda, some zoysia, a bit of everything in there, and you really can't stand the way it looks, then you could do a renovation. That's a more expensive way to do it. It's a more drastic approach. What you might find, though, is if you can just commit to regularly mowing it, you might find that you can, you know, the look of the lawn is something you can live with. So here's what I would do. So someone that a lawn where their lawn is kind of a salad bowl, right? You got some weeds in it, and you've got a bunch of different types of grass in it. For the beginning of the season next year, I would apply your pre-emergent, I would do a soil test, I would begin feeding your lawn based on those soil test results, and I would just start mowing it. And mow it through March, through April, and in May, make your decision. Because by May, the lawn, like if you're mowing it twice per week, you're going to have a pretty good idea of how the lawn is going to look. And you're going to see, like, hey, I look like there's obviously a big part of my lawn here, but the grass is completely different looking to the rest of the lawn, and it's driving me crazy, and I can't deal with this. I got to get rid of it. In that case, then you know what, a renovation is going to be the way for you to go. But what you might find is once you start feeding the lawn and you're mowing it regularly, you start getting some love, some TLC, that you might find that it's you know, you can just live with you can live with the, you know, the blend, the mutt lawn, and just keep, you know, just keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, renovations sound all fine and good. Always baked, never fried. But one, they can be expensive to do. They're expensive to do correctly, you know, and then what you'll find is if the grass in your lawn was Bermuda, it's the likelihood of it eventually coming back is actually pretty high. You know what I mean? So that's why I say, if at all possible, if you can learn to live and love the lawn you got, right? You can try and make the best out of what you got. That is a recipe for less frustration than trying to get like a monoculture without like a lot of like concerted effort. Like it is not easy to have a lawn that is only one grass type when you're transitioning it from like a lawn that was like a blended with all kinds of stuff in it. You know what I mean? So I would start out with just doing the basics: pre-emergent, soil test, fertilize based on the soil test results, and mow the lawn. And then evaluate how it looks, and then you can decide on whether renovation is something you want to do, or it looks good enough you can keep, you're just going to keep it. What I'll tell you is this: if you're mowing your lawn twice a week and you're feeding it properly, so you're using a granular fertilizer on it once per month, and if you're doing what I do, which is spoon feeding, you're granular feeding it once per month, you're spraying liquids twice per month, and you're mowing it at least twice a week, if you're doing those things, your lawn is going to look better than your neighbor's lawns. Like regardless of the fact that there might be some slightly different slight differences in the grass, like the appearance of it is going to look better than a lawn that is mowed once every couple of weeks. So I would say that start out with the basics, evaluate in May, and then you can decide, if you want to take more drastic routes to try and get like a lawn that looks more uniform. So, and I'm answering this without knowing how bad or how good the lawn looks or how much what kind of grass you have in it, because you didn't give me any of that. But I'm just, based on the question, I'm assuming you've got like what I like to call a mutt lawn, right? A bit of everything in there. So start out with the basics and then decide in time. All right. Next up, we have all right. So next up, we got Ricky Blackman. I'm not sure what your question is, Kevin. So we'll skip that. So next up is Ricky Blackman. He says, hey, Ron, what happens if you exceed the annual rate of prodiamine? You can damage the roots of the grass. You can cause, there's a condition called root clubbing, where you can begin to damage the roots, which then will damage your lawn. So the long short of it is, don't do that. Like the annual limits are there for a reason. Stick to the annual limits. And that is what I would say. If you exceed it, depending on how far you exceed it, you can create a condition called root clubbing, which again will damage the roots, which will damage your grass. And there's really no benefit to doing it. In other words, like going at double the rate on prodiamine is not going to produce, that much better of a result. It's going to produce a worse result, because you're not going to get that much better control over the weeds, and you're also going to damage your lawn in the process. So stick to the rates. The rates are the rates for a reason. And that's what I would say to do if you're really serious about keeping your lawn looking its absolute best while also controlling weeds. Good stuff, Ricky. It's a good question, because when it comes to lawn care products, I know a lot of times it's just human nature, right? We think that if one is good, then two's got to be better, right? And for some things, that is the case. Like volume is better for some things. Like if you're trying to learn a new skill, yeah, volume is good. If you're trying to work out or transform your body, like more is better. But even that, to an extent, to a certain point, becomes counterproductive. You work out too much, it becomes damaging, right? Because you don't give yourself enough time to heal. If you spend too much time trying to learn a new skill and you're trying to go too fast, you tend to. And my point is that in everything, in every new endeavor, you can reach a point of diminishing returns. And fortunately for us, the manufacturers have already told us what those points of diminishing returns are. So on the label for prodiamine, they say, for Bermuda grass anyway, it's 0.83 ounces per year. Once you get past that, you're entering the area of diminishing returns, to where you're going to start getting negative effects of going too heavy. So stick to the label is what I would tell you, especially when it comes to herbicides. Fertilizer, you've got, you can go a little lower on some, and then you can make it up with like liquids. You can there's a little bit more headroom or wiggle room to play around with rates on fertilizer. But with herbicides, you really want to stick to the application rates. You really don't want to go heavier than what the manufacturer calls for. Okay, next up is Warren Henry. Actually, we got a super chat. Let me get down here and grab that really quick. One from Mr. Zoyja Dad. Thank you so much, Zoyja Dad.
Super chat received.
He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. I got my Revolution 26 pre-ordered. Let's go. Let's go. Thanks for all you do. You're greatly appreciated. You are my sensei. Sensei. Well, sensei, that's more Japanese. My martial arts is Korean, but I'll take it. I will take it. And you know what? For you getting the new Revolution 26, we got to clap it up. Give you some love, some dap for that. Congrats on the new mower, man. Definitely can't wait to see the results you guys get with that beta kit. It's a nice setup. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. For those of you that have already gotten one on order, and that should get it, I guess, in January, whenever Real Rollers starts shipping them. I think it's going to be the first part of next year. Is what I'm hearing. Next up is Warren Henry. Warren Henry, are we related? Warren. He says, "Hey Ron, I have a fescue/bluegrass lawn. What is the latest I can apply my pre-emergent this season? I would not wait until so here's the thing I would say, Warren. The most correct answer to your question is you want to apply your fall pre-emergent before the average soil temps are in the low 70s, trending cooler. So if your soil temps are in the 70s, it's the time to apply your pre-emergent. Really, you don't want to wait until the absolute last minute to apply pre-emergent. If anything, being a little bit early, a week or two early, is better than being a week or two late, especially for a cool season lawn, because if you're trying to keep weeds like Poa annua out of your lawn, there's not a ton of good post-emergent herbicides for controlling Poa annua in cool season lawns that won't also damage your grass. So for you guys, especially in the fall, it's important to be on point with your pre-emergent applications. Again, a little bit early, better than a little bit late. So before soil temps, the average soil temperature in the 70s going cooler is when you want to get your pre-emergent down. Hope that helps, sir. And yeah, always nice to meet another Henry, my brother from another mother. And yeah, so yeah, with pre-emergent, don't think about it that way. Think the opposite. Think like, how early can I apply this where it would actually make sense. Don't think what's the absolute latest I can wait, because it's just, again, when it comes to pre-emergent, late is not as early is better than late. Early is better than late. All right, next we have Always Baked, Never Fried. They are back. No, I already answered that question. You repeated it. Next up, we have Golf Junkie. It says soil test indicated a need for manure, or is it manure or organic material? Maybe I'm not seeing one that says manure, but maybe the one that you use says manure. He says, I've been putting down Essential G every 2 weeks of this year. Sounds like a plan. Kentucky bluegrass. Should an Essential G take care of that? Yes. Yeah. So the soil test results that you are looking at, Golf Junkie, likely said that your OM, the amount of organic material in your soil, needs to be higher, and Essential G is an excellent product for increasing the amount of organic material in your soil. So yeah, what you're doing is exactly right. I would just continue to do that. Good stuff. Tutrilla is up next. Tutrilla from Manila says, happy Friday, Ron and Stripe Action Gang. What's going on, Tutrilla? Next, we got Archie Amos. I got to take a sip here first before I read Archie's question. Got to get my voice right. He says, evening, young man. What if you're overseeding? Can you water regularly to keep the seed from drying out? Yes. Speaking of fescue, doing my New York property. What up, LG? Yeah, so if what I'm talking about, Archie, is the question earlier on watering is for Bermuda, right? Your fescue lawn is not going to go dormant anytime soon. And so yes, as long as your grass is actively growing, you're still mowing it, you're planning on overseeding it, then yes, then it makes sense to keep watering it. The question that I answered earlier was really for a warm season lawn, a Bermuda lawn, which does go dormant. So in your case, yeah, you would keep watering it, Archie. No, there's no problem with that. I mean, water enough to prevent the soil from drying out, but not so much that you're turning the lawn into a swamp. You already know what you're doing. You know how much to water, how much not to water. But the advice would be different for you because again, you're in New York and you're overseeding your lawn. So obviously you're going to want to put water on it to help that new grass seed establish. Good stuff. Southern Abe from Louisiana says, hey Ron, 419 Bermuda, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. When would be a good time to core aerate? In the spring after a hard scalp or in the middle of summer? Planning for next season already. Great question, Southern Abe. I'm a fan of doing your core aeration when the grass is actively growing. So in the late April timeframe is a good time to do it. I've done core aeration as early March, and I've done it into the summertime. Nothing really negative happened from doing it earlier in March, other than the lawn just took forever to recover from it because it was a bit early in the season. If you wait until late April, early May, your Bermuda is going to be fully woken up. It's going to be doing its thing. The heat's starting to arrive, and that's a great time to do your core aeration. What you'll find is a week later, it'll be hard to even see that anything was done to the lawn if you were to do it in the April-May timeframe. If you do it earlier than that, the time period for the lawn to recover is going to be drawn out quite a bit. So yeah, I would lean towards late spring to early summer for your core aeration. If you're planning to top dress, do your aeration as part of that process. Good stuff. So congrats again on planning on doing core aeration. It's a good thing to do. It's one of the best practices that you should do on your lawn once per season. Once per year at least. I'm a fan of core aerating to help relieve that compaction. And again, whenever the grass is actively growing is the best time to do it because it's going to recover faster if you were to do that. And again, it's if you're going to go early, you can. But I've done both. I've done earlier than most people will ever do it, which is like early March, and I've done it like the time I'm telling you to do it now, which is late April, early May timeframe, and I've also done it in the summertime. The benefit of doing it another side benefit, I didn't cover this, another benefit of doing it in April-May timeframe is it's not quite so hot. If you wait till the summertime, you are being drug around the lawn by by the aerator when it's super hot outside. So another benefit of doing it in the late spring is it's just more pleasant to be outside that time of year. And if you want some content on core aeration, I'm going to get you a video here. So if you go to resources and then blog, and I think it's going to be on page 2 at this point. We have a blog post on the topic of core aeration. I don't think I've passed it yet. It's on page 3. Here we go. How to core aerate your lawn. Talks about what it is. You already know. The benefits, the times to do it. Ground isn't frozen. Weather's consistently warm. Grass is actively growing. Other plants in your yard are beginning to bud. Like, again, sounds like springtime. That's the time to core aerate your lawn. And in here, you'll see a video that talks all about core aeration and shows you a really cool tip of how you can make a process that is traditionally not a whole lot of fun, a whole lot less bad. So it's worth checking out. It's a quick read. If you're gonna go aerate your lawn, I'll send you that here really quick, Southern Abe, and you'll be all set. You can watch this to your heart's content. You can read it, you can watch the video, and you'll be all set and good to go for next year whenever you get out there with a core aerator to do battle with your lawn. It's a good thing to do. Core aeration, guys. And also on the topic of the blog, this week we released a new article. Let me go back here. I didn't talk to you guys about this as yet, but it's around treating diseases in your lawn. So it's a question as far as email that I've been getting this time of year. There's been more emails around preventing lawn diseases. So in this one, we cover the 6 most common types of lawn diseases that you're going to come across, how to identify them, like in detail, how to identify them, and also treatment options. So how to prevent them, preventing. I'll tell you a good fun tip here before I go back to the article, is by managing the thatch levels in your lawn, which I do through regular turf raking. Like, it's one of the best things you can do for changing the conditions so that you don't have disease problems. Like in years past, I would have issues with large patch in the lawn. We're in 2023 now. Since 2022, when I got the outlet and I started regularly turf raking and verticutting and just managing the thatch levels in the lawn, the issues with disease have dropped. A ton. Like, it's not even the same universe as how much better things are by doing that. So while this article that I'm showing you has content in here on products like Headway G and Pillar SC. So if you want granular, go with Headway. If you want liquid, go with Pillar. Don't discount the importance of the cultural practices. Don't discount the importance of dethatching, turf raking. I call it dethatching because no one knows what turf raking is. But in here, by the way I'm describing it, I'm talking about turf raking. But managing the thatch levels in your lawn, managing how you water your lawn, ensuring that your mowing equipment is sharp, core aerating, like all these things, these practices make it much less likely that you're going to have a disease problem in your lawn in the first place. And then if you do happen to have one, or you're just trying to do preventative control, then is when, Headway and Pillar SC come in. So this is an article that, again, it was published yesterday, and it's all about lawn diseases and how to prevent them. So not how to identify them, and also how to prevent them. So if you guys are interested in that, I will link that in the chat. And then also for anyone that's watching this after the live stream ends, it will be the pinned comment once the show is over. How to control lawn diseases. There we go. Cool. All right. Next is Steven Thompson. Steven says, got 4.5 inches of rain in a few hours. Good Lord, that's a lot. And the backyard flooded per usual, but after 32 yards of sandy loam, it is soaked up within 42 hours, whereas we moved in, it would take weeks. Yes. See, I feel vindicated. Now, here's the thing, Steven. I'm not one to commonly say I told you so, but didn't I tell you so? Didn't I tell you that even though top dressing, the thing we think about is, oh, we can have lawns that look incredible and they can look like a golf course and they're smooth and all of our neighbors are jealous because we have a putting green for our lawns. The single best advantage, the thing that I was most surprised about, and one of the biggest reasons to top dress your lawn is the improvement in drainage. It is just, it's a night and day difference. In your case, just exactly it's the same thing you're talking about. Like you had a ton of rain, 4.5 inches of rain in a couple of hours, and a couple hours later, once the rain stopped, just sucks it up. It's gone, right? It's literally one of the best things, one of the best reasons to top dress your lawn. Appearance wise, yes, I get it. It looks awesome. But like from a drainage standpoint, like top dressing is one of the best ways to improve the drainage of your lawn. And again, 32 yards is nothing to play with. You definitely went hard as far as that goes, and I'm glad. I feel vindicated because I always talk about this, and people think, oh, and it's your case where it rains a lot and it worked in your case. But here you go, you got someone else who did the same thing and is seeing the exact same benefits. And you guys have seen videos. Sometimes I've posted stories on Instagram or on YouTube where I've showed like a heavy rainfall hitting the back lawn, and it's like a little lake out there, and people are saying, hey, you got drainage problems. It's going to be, looks like you need to work on the drainage. I'm saying, yeah, just wait, give it a couple hours. As soon as the rain is gone, couple hours, gone. And because I've literally had it to where the back lawn has been a swimming pool in the morning, and it stops raining by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then that afternoon I'm out mowing it, and the mower's not like mushing in. It's not like the ground is you can still tell it's moist. It's got some moisture in it, but it's not like you could walk on it and not leave depressions at all. So that's one of the best benefits to top dressing if you're ever considering doing it, is that the drainage, the improvements in drainage for your lawn are like next level. So, all right, I beat that enough. Gone over that too much, but yeah, I just get really excited when people get really good results from top dressing, other than the vanity metric, which is our lawn looks really smooth and is pretty, right? And Steven, he said he's down south of Dallas Fort Worth. Very cool, man. Great work. And then Tillman Waters says, can overwatering. I'm not sure what the rest of your question is, Tillman, but yes, you can overwater. I would not recommend it. And for the reasons that I listed above when someone asked the question earlier, you increase you're wasting water. You increase the likelihood of you having disease problems. It promotes shallow roots, and there's just not a whole lot of reason to do it. Like just like water heavily and infrequently. I like to do it twice per week. That works well for me. But I would not overdo it. I wouldn't get out there and put an inch of water on your lawn every single day. I think that's not going to be good for your lawn in the long term, unless you live like in Arizona where it's super hot outside. But I don't think even in Arizona they can get away with that because of their all their strict restrictions and whatnot. All right, next up is Mike Harvey. He says, hi, Ron. I'm seeing a lot of things on the interwebs about raising height of cut going into the winter. What are your thoughts on this? I actually don't. I personally don't do that. I understand what some people are going for, where they say that if you allow the grass to get a little bit taller, then you are insulating the root system. The chance of you getting damage is less. But the thing is, also letting your lawn get tall in the winter, going into the winter, has some negative effects to it too. Like especially you live somewhere where it gets snow on the ground. Like if you allow the lawn to get tall, the chances of you having, or the chance of you having disease problems goes up, because like all that long grass, the longer you allow the grass to be, the more chance once you have snow on it that it's going to get matted down. You're creating conditions that are more prone to disease. So if anything, I would prefer that your lawn be a little bit shorter going into the winter than taller. With my lawn, I'm at 3/4 of an inch, 0.75 inches, and I leave it there. Like it's there. That's what I cut the lawn at throughout the summer. That's where it is right now, and that's what it will be in the winter. If you let your lawn grow to 3 or 4 inches, in Georgia, it's not going to really matter so much because we don't really get crazy we don't get really, really extreme winters. But if you are somewhere where you're going to get a lot of snow cover, and the lawn, you can have snow on the ground for a while, like that, you are increasing your chances of having disease problems if you are allowing like tall grass to get matted down and get compressed versus if it's a little bit shorter. In other words, if you cut the grass on the shorter side of what is appropriate for your grass type, I would prefer that than allowing it to get a lot taller going into dormancy. The whole thing of it getting allowing the lawn to get taller to help to protect the root zone is, I mean, I don't know how much really there is to that, because if you look at around here in Georgia, right? My lawn was at 3/4 of an inch over this past winter. We had a couple of days where we had a day where it got into single digits. We had a couple of days though when it was in the teens. And while I did get a little bit of frost damage on my front lawn, the other lawns around here that were much taller got far more damage. That they had much more injury. Their lawns took a lot longer to do well, to grow out of that in the springtime than my lawn did, which is kept at 3/4 of an inch throughout the entire time. So that from my sample size of what I saw in my area, like allowing the Bermuda to get to 3 inches, 3-4 inches really didn't do a whole lot for you when it came to extreme temperatures like that. And again, the chance of you having disease issues go up whenever you create conditions where thatch can become more prevalent. So I would say bias more towards the shorter end of what is appropriate for your grass type. So for tall fescue, obviously you're not going to cut a tall fescue lawn at 3/4 of an inch. But let's say your fescue will tolerate being cut at 2.5 inches, and in the summer you leave it at like 4 inches. Then if you wanted to bring it down a little bit shorter to that 2.5 inches, I think you're going to find that the chances of you having damage from disease problems over the winter are going to be less than if you allow it to be tall, especially if you're not doing a lot of the other things like removing leaves, removing debris, getting the snow off the lawn, like doing a lot of things just to allow the surface, the lawn to breathe. Like that's my thoughts on the matter. So I don't raise the height of cut. I've actually seen worse results from the lawns in my area that allow their grass to get taller than leaving it at the same height of cut year round. Like my lawn, Alex's lawn, and the other lawn that he and I both maintain both sit around 3/4 of an inch throughout the entire year, and they all, like, they were the first lawns to green up in the this season. So, and the last ones to go dormant. So I wouldn't raise the height of cut. Not really a fan of doing that. On that topic, the blog post that we did last week, let me think here, they run together. Yeah, so this one speaks to that as well, like as far as like how to manage disease problems in a lawn, and particularly for cool season lawns. There's some really good guidance in here to that effect. So this one, and then also there's a recent knowledge base article on the same thing, on preparing your lawn for colder months. And one of the things it talks about is that mowing height, like not letting the grass get too tall, especially if you live somewhere that your lawn could be, will receive snowfall. So hope that helps. Mike Harvey, my thoughts on the matter. If you have anything else, let me know. All right, so we have a super chat. Let me grab one really quick here. This one is from Mr. James Smith, Mr. Diet and Non-Diet Lemonade Blend. Thank you so much, James.
Super chat received.
He says, Ron, popping in to make sure you didn't miss me. I'm keeping it short tonight, heading down your way in the morning. I'll email you if I'm able to stop by Lee's on Monday. Yeah, let me know. I might, if you let me know when you're gonna be at Lee's, I might be able to swing by and say hi, because their shop is not too far from where I am, and yeah, it'd be cool. Be cool to meet. Actually, be cool to meet you. If you're, I don't know if if Monday's gonna work. If you're gonna, I don't know. In other words, confirm with Lee before you go there on Monday is what I would say. I would not just drive down there unannounced on Monday, because I'm not sure if he's there on Monday. I think there might be someone else there, but he might not be there on Monday. So check with him first, confirm with him first before you go this upcoming Monday. And if you decide you're going to go there at some point this week or next week, let me know when it is, and I'll if I've got time, not like between meetings or whatever, I will swing by and say hi and tell you in person that Diet Chick-fil-A lemonade, while not horrible, it's not as good as the unadulterated lemonade, which is, the lemon, the sugar, the water. That's how lemonade's supposed to be. All right, so next up we have, let me see where I left off, always the worst part. Next up we got Reggie Lovier. He says, would you be against covering a small lawn with a tarp if you will get all day rain sessions? Yeah, I wouldn't do that, Reggie. I don't, no, I mean, I wouldn't. If it's gonna rain all day, I think you're gonna do more damage to the grass. You're gonna stress the grass more than just letting it get rained on. No, I wouldn't. I would not do that. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I know sports fields do that, but they're sports fields because they're trying to keep rain off of it so that they can get out and use the field and continue the game. But I wouldn't cover your lawn with a tarp all day if you're going to get a lot of rain in a day. I wouldn't do that. If you're worried about issues where your lawn doesn't drain or the water will sit on the lawn for a while, you can do what Steven did and top dress it. Top dressing it, one of the best parts of top dressing a lawn, one of the best benefits is that it drains better. So I would not cover your lawn with a tarp all day on days you're going to get heavy rainfall. If it doesn't drain properly, top dress it, and that's going to help it deal with moisture better than not. All right. Let's see. I have a question here from Real Hopeful. Is it a good time now in Georgia to use pre-emergent with fertilizer? Yeah, it's a good time would have been last month. So can you do it now? Yes. What would have been better would have been 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yes, to answer your question, yes. If you've not put your pre-emergent down as yet and you're in Georgia, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you do so. I would not wait any longer. Next up, we have Always Baked, Never Fried. He says, let me see. He says, in the spring, what would be your advice to a rookie that tried to fix their lawn by throwing grass seed, get my hands on, located in Savannah, laid with Bermuda sod? Yeah, again, the same. It would still hold Always Baked, Never Fried. I would wait and I would go through the process: pre-emergent, soil test, fertilize, and mowing, and then evaluate in May timeframe how the lawn looks and decide from there whether or not you want to do a full renovation or not. Just know that it's not for the faint of heart. It's not inexpensive, and depending on how good a job you do or don't do, the grass that you're trying to get rid of might come back. So there's always that. Okay, I already answered your question, Camus. Next up, we have Anon Yumas. He says, how much is too much rain for pre-emergent? How much rain is required to wash away pre-emergent? I've had very heavy rainfalls after applying pre-emergent. I've not had a negative result with it on humus. It depends. It depends. I've not really, kind of like the question on like several of the other questions I get, like the idea of rainfall washing away pre-emergent is largely overblown. Like if you apply pre-emergent, if you get half an inch to an inch of rain, that's great. If you get 2 inches of rain, it's great. You get 3 inches of rain, it's great. It's not really going to hurt anything. Where you could run into issues with losing some of the pre-emergent is if you apply a granular and your lawn is heavily sloped, right? It's heavily sloped, and you got it's probably gonna take more than 3 inches of rain. If you got like a ton of rain, like enough to cause a flood. In that situation, you may have some of the pre-emergent end up more towards the bottom of your lawn, towards the lower areas. But I had a viewer a couple of years ago. He's in Atlanta. He's a musician. He asked me a question. He said he asked the same question. His front lawn was heavily sloped, and he said, and he used a granular, and he said, yeah, I had a heavy rain. Should I be worried? Is all my pre-emergent gone? And I said, I highly doubt it. Probably not, because you applied it, you watered it in, and the way to tell is go to the bottom of your lawn, go to the bottom of the hill and go look, because prodiamine is yellow. If you see a bunch of yellow built up there along the end of your lawn, like on the curb, like going into the street. He's like, nope, I didn't see any. I said, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's not, it's an impossible question to answer. If you got enough to where the lawn is completely flooded, that would not be good. But if you're using a liquid pre-emergent, I really wouldn't worry about it. And granular pre-emergent, unless your lawn is heavily sloped and you got like a ton of rain, that's the only situation where I could conceivably see where you might lose some of it. But for most people, it's really not an issue. I wouldn't worry about it. So don't, if in other words, if you apply pre-emergent and you get 2-3 inches of rain, be thankful. That's a good thing. I really wouldn't worry about it. So don't look at the fact that you're going to get rainfall. Don't let that push you away or prevent you from applying your pre-emergent. You're going to be just fine. All right. Next up is Izzy Lou. Says, he says, Izzy Lou 2021. He says, how do you balance your life as a large golf course lawn? Are you single? I love working. I love mowing grass, and I like working on my lawn. So it's not, the thing is, I don't do a whole lot of stuff. It seems like it, but I really don't. I work, I do karate, and I work on my grass. I mow my lawn. That's it. I don't really go out a lot. I don't do a whole lot else other than those three things. Like I work on my lawn. Like I work on also the live stream, the business, the golf course lawn store. I do martial arts, and I don't really watch TV. I can't tell you like whatever the most popular TV shows are. I don't do that. I mean, the extent of television that I watch is I'll watch Formula One. Like I'll watch the Qatar, like the Grand Prix this weekend. And I'll watch some football on Sunday when it's football season. So out of the 7 days out of the week, I maybe will watch I'll take like half a day and like do something that is not really productive. And it's just I've always been that way. I've always just been like that. So it's not really a matter of balancing life. It's just I just don't do a whole lot of other things. I only do the things I enjoy doing. And I like working on my lawn, and I love martial arts. So everything else I just don't do. And that leaves me plenty of time to do those things at the level that I like to do them. So there you go. All right. Recon 123 says, I've been trying to get rid of crabgrass for years here in New York. It can be a challenge. So the way to do that, Recon 123, is a multi-pronged approach. You can use pre-emergent. Like pre-emergent is a great tool to help you not have to deal with crabgrass in the first place, or to reduce the amount of crabgrass that you'd have to deal with in your lawn. The time to apply pre-emergent is going to be in the springtime, like before average soil temps are in the mid 50s, because that's when crabgrass and a lot of other warm season weeds begin to germinate. So if you get your pre-emergent down in, you being in New York, probably gonna be the March timeframe. That's gonna be before soil temps are in the mid 50s. And then that's gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting for keeping crabgrass out of your lawn. For the breakthrough that you do get for the crabgrass, it happens to grow despite the pre-emergent. That's when you can start controlling it with post-emergent herbicides like quinclorac will work. If you're dealing with young crabgrass, you can also use tenacity for that as well too. But the best way is to prevent it in the first place. And as far as if you've had issues with it in the past, if you can get dithiopyr in New York, I think you can. I don't know if dithiopyr is labeled for use in New York. I'm pretty sure prodiamine is, but dithiopyr I don't know. So let me look here really quick. I will tell you, because the reason why I'm checking for you is that dithiopyr, when it comes to crabgrass, of the two, dithiopyr is better than prodiamine, because if you get if you have a little bit of breakthrough, you have some very young crabgrass, dithiopyr has the ability to control young crabgrass, whereas prodiamine does not. So if you are, I don't think it's not yet. You can't ship it to New York. I don't think so. I didn't think so. So in your case, prodiamine. Prodiamine will also help prevent crabgrass too, but in that case, you just have to make sure you have prodiamine in the soil, like applied and watered in prior to the average soil temps being in the mid 50s. So not when they're in the mid 50s, not when you look and say, oh, the soil temps are in the mid 50s, time for me to apply my pre-emergent. No, before then. So when soil temps are in the low 50s, high 40s, again, a week or two before you anticipate, you getting into the mid 50s, apply your pre-emergent, water it in. That's going to do a lot for you as far as keeping crabgrass out of your lawn. And in your case, what you're going to want to go with, because you are in New York, is prodiamine. That's going to be your jam. So I will send you, actually I'll do this. Yeah, I'll send you a link here to where you can find pre-emergents. I'll just filter these out because that's all you really care about. and then you'll be good to go. So yeah, so hope this helps. Recon 123. Best way to deal with crabgrass is to not have it in the first place, not to have it in your lawn in the first place. And the way to do that in a cost-effective way is with pre-emergent. And then after the fact, let's say you do have some breakthrough, you can use a herbicide called quinclorac, which is, it's in my opinion one of the best herbicides for crabgrass, especially young crabgrass is very effective against it. And I'll give you a link to where you can pick that up, if you want to have that on hand for next year. But again, get your pre-emergent applied in the springtime, and that's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Quinclorac. And there we go. Cool. All right. Next up, we have Tillman Waters says, can overwatering cause nutsedge after using Certainty? I have several void slots to seed. So does overwatering cause nutsedge? No, it's not like if you put a bunch of water on your lawn, that's going to cause you to have nutsedge. That said, nutsedge does like wet areas. It likes areas where water either settles or whenever your lawn drains. Like if you have an area like a channel through your lawn that water passes through whenever the lawn is draining, that is where you're more than likely going to get nutsedge. It's going to be more disposed to grow. If you have like downspouts from your roof where that drains into the lawn, that area is where you're going to you can have more nutsedge and poanua in those areas than areas of the lawn that tend to be a bit drier. So overwatering does not cause nutsedge, but it definitely creates conditions that will allow it to thrive and do well. If you have nutsedge in your lawn, Certainty, where is it? Certainty along with surfactant, like this combination, is very effective against sedges. But yeah, overwatering in itself does not cause nutsedge, but it will definitely create conditions that will cause sedges to thrive and do better. So yet another reason to not overwater your lawn. You can increase the problems with certain types of weeds. Got Doug Flanders. What's going on, Doug? I see you there, man. I see you, Doug. I see you. It's one of the guys from karate. My karate buddies. All right. Fernando Funes says, hey, Ron, what should be the right height of cut in the winter for my Bermuda? Great question. I will put down the last application of fertilizer tomorrow. This was my first season with amazing results. Watching you from LA. I'm not sure if by LA you mean Louisiana or from LA like Los Angeles. At either rate, it depends on the kind of mower you have, Fernando. If you can leave your Bermuda lawn at 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches with a rotary going into dormancy, 1.5 to 2 inches going into dormancy, that would be just fine. If you are real mowing it, going into dormancy with it at 1 inch, 3/4 inch, I've had great results with that. So rotary 1.5 to 2 inches with a real mower, aim for more 1 inch. That would be a good height of cut to go into to dormancy with. The Bermuda is going to tolerate that just fine. The nice thing about that as well is whenever you get into the springtime, whenever you're going to do your cleanup work, your turf raking, your scalping, that kind of stuff, you're going to have less debris to get rid of. So for those reasons, I prefer a little bit shorter height of cut going closing out the season versus letting the lawn get very tall. So I hope that helps. I'm glad that your lawn is doing well. It's your first season with amazing results. Love to hear that. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So yeah, appreciate all the love and support, and keep working on your lawn. It sounds like you're doing all the right things. Okay, next up we have James. James, he says, how much you cut your watering back as it gets cooler? About once per week. I was saying, James, like this time of year, I'm not having to water very much at all because we're getting rain. During the summertime, twice per week is when I water. This time of year, because we've been getting rainfall, I haven't really had to run irrigation. Like the last time I ran irrigation was last Saturday when I applied fertilizer, the granular fertilizer, and I applied the fungicide and I watered them in. So that's when the last time I ran irrigation. So yeah, we just haven't had the need to this time of year. So every 7 to 10 days, if you're not getting any kind of rainfall, and then as the lawn goes dormant, you can maintain that. Just put water on it every now and then so it doesn't dry out. It isn't dry out too much. It's certainly in the winter, in the late fall and winter months, the watering demands for Bermuda are not as high as they are during the summer months. You still need to put some water on it, but not anything like when it's hot out. And oftentimes, depending on where you are in the country, you get enough rain regularly that you don't really even have to run your irrigation. Next, we have Camus83489 says, oh yeah, I think the consumer dethatchers are more like power rakes. Ryobi dethatchers a power rake. Yeah, so that would be fine. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a dethatcher in the true sense of the word is very aggressive, and I don't really recommend that. But if you're talking about like what's basically a power rake, that would be okay. I'm good with that. All right, so let me run back down here. We got another super chat. This one, James is back. James Smith is back, and I think this makes you the show sponsor, James.
Super chat received.
He says, we're heading back on Monday. Forgot to call Lee today. Going to be calling Monday morning if you can make it. How many gallons of 50-50? You got jokes. How many gallons of 50-50 would you like? We'll keep you posted. Evening, guys. Hit that like button. Yeah, I would like no gallons of the 50-50. If you're talking about gallons of like the actual lemonade, now we can work something out. You're talking like $12 a gallon. This stuff's expensive. It's more expensive than race gas. But yeah, no, the 50-50, you can hang on to that. I don't want that. That's I appreciate it. Appreciate the gesture, but I don't want you to go out and buy several gallons of 50-50 only to have it, sit in the refrigerator and we have to give it away. Plus, I think if you went to the local Chick-fil-A and you said, hey, can I have like 2-3 gallons of half of the regular and half of the diet, they can look at you like, man, you need a Bible study. I don't know what's going on with you. That's not right. No, you don't know what you're thinking. So yeah. So no 50-50 for me. But keep me posted, James. Keep me posted if you're in the area and we'll figure something out. Again, my schedule permitting, and if you're able to get a hold of Lee and all that kind of stuff. All right, and you are now the show sponsor, sir. Your name in lights, whatever that means to you. Thanks again for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. All right, next up we have C. Pims. Colin's back. He says, I think it might be time to upgrade to a real mower going into the new year / season 2. Hey, listen, man, you are in the wrong place if you're thinking that you asking about getting a real mower that I'm going to tell you no. I'm 100% for that. You absolutely should do it. I'm surprised. Listen, given the amount of pride you take in your lawn, I mean, look at this edge work. I mean, that's clean. Given the fact that you love that manicured look, I mean, you're the right kind of guy for a real mower, Colin. I think you should absolutely look into getting one of those. Even if you start out with like a push reel mower, like an Earthway, Earthway, that's going to be fine. On Earthwise, that's going to be just fine. Scott's, good way to start. But then a powered reel mower, oh, you love the way your lawn looks. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. You really won't. There's life before reel mowing, the life after reel mowing. Kind of like with Primo Max. There's life before Primo, there's life after Primo. Same kind of difference. All right. Next up, we got Tito Serrano. He says, if FERT is the way to fix a lawn that the soil test says is lacking, why would you do a soil test now with the grass sleeping and not when it's growing? Okay, so yeah, so what the soil test measures are the nutrient levels in your soil, Tito. So my lawn is not dormant as yet, and all you're doing when you do a soil test is you're looking at the current nutrient levels, the current pH, and if your grass is still actively growing, you can continue feeding it and you can correct those nutrient levels now. If your lawn is dormant, so let's say you can fast forward to, say, the springtime when your lawn is still going to be dormant. So say late February, here in Georgia, late February, early March here in Georgia, you would still do a soil test because based on what the nutrient levels are in the soil, you can use that data to determine what kind of fertilizer is the best type to use for your particular lawn and then use that throughout the growing season. So it's not like the grass has to be actively growing for you to get the benefits of a soil test. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, if the grass is dormant and you do a soil test and the results are null and void. It doesn't really work that way because you're measuring nutrient level in the soil. You're not measuring like the grass. You're not measuring whether the grass is growing or not. So the two really aren't linked. I would say this, like if you did a soil test on a lawn that is growing, and you stop fertilizing it, what you would expect to see is, if you were to measure again a few months later, you would expect the nutrient levels to be lower, because the grass is still growing, it's still consuming nutrient that's in the soil, but you're not adding any more to it. So that's a change you might see. But as far as like the grass growing or not growing, affecting the ability to whether you should do a soil test or not, that doesn't really matter. Doesn't really make a difference. All right, next up is Luke Payan. He says, thank you, Ron. I am new to the channel, looking forward to getting some knowledge as I try to establish my new lawn out of New Jersey. Yeah, man, I appreciate all the questions. But, and again, the content, there's tons of YouTube content. There's obviously the live stream like what you're on right now, but also don't miss the store. Like on the store, you got the blog, which we try and put a new article out every single week here. There's that. There's tons of different topics that are a lot of the most common questions that I get turned into blog posts. So there's that. And then for the more extensive reading, you've got the knowledge base, where you've got guides like, your beginner's guide to lawn care, which is a great read. Talks about choosing lawn care products, goes through like the definition of what herbicides are, fungicides are, insecticides, when you want to use what, and what the role that they serve. So between the knowledge base and the blog posts, you got tons of good info here, in addition to the YouTube content, to give you options on how to learn about lawn care. So it really depends on what your preference is. Some people like video, some people like reading, some people like live interactions. So whichever works best for you is what you can you can go with. So we try and cover all the bases as much as possible. Next up, we have a question from Clutch Beast. Says, Ron, do you have any knowledge about a pre-emergent called Pendy Hydrocap? I do not. I've not heard of that one. I've not heard of that. Oh, now you're gonna make me look it up. I've not heard of that that particular pre-emergent. Is it called something else? 50 broadleaf weeds. Is that pendimethalin? I'm just looking here really quickly. Yeah, it's pendimethalin. So it's a Pendy Hydrocap is from it's a brand name for the active ingredient is pendimethalin. Yes, I have heard of pendimethalin. I have not heard of that particular I've not heard of Pendy Hydrocap. I guess I should have guessed it, because the Pendy is in the pendimethalin. The Pendy Hydrocap, the Pendy sensor pendimethalin. So no, I've not ever used that. I have heard of pendimethalin, but I've not heard of that particular pre-emergent. So I can't give you an opinion on it. Like most pre-emergents, if it's safe for your grass type, and if it has control against the weeds that you're trying to keep out of your lawn, it should be just fine, as long as you apply it in the right window and you water it in. Should work just fine. But I've not used that particular product. All right, next up we got Jamie Armstead. He says, Nashville, Tennessee, Bermuda last night. I sprayed weed killer mixed with Dawn soap, and 2 hours later picked up 17 grub worms in about a space of 3,000 square feet. It freaked me out. LOL. Yeah, so looks like you got some grubs in your lawn, Jamie. Yeah, the Dawn, they didn't like that. So yeah, you might want to consider an insecticide to get rid of them. I mean, if you want. I mean, if you don't have any damage, or you're not afraid or not concerned about a damage in your lawn from grubs, then you don't have to. But if I saw that, I would probably go put out an application of acelepryn if it were me. So I can show you that really quick. If you go to shop and insecticide, the fungicide insecticide section, you've got two options. You've got acelepryn in a granular and acelepryn in a liquid. Either of these are excellent, provide excellent control against grubs, armyworms, any kind of sod, any kind of turf caterpillar. Excellent product. So if you're concerned about potential damage from lawn damaging insects, acelepryn is what I would recommend. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the Dawn, the dish soap that you use in the lawn, brought them to the surface. And if you're looking to where you can find that, Jamie, I'll send you a link there to where acelepryn is. Skinny Nikki says, how do I rid my new lawn of ants/ant hills? Depends on the kind of ants you have, Skinny, but the product that I love for ants, particularly for fire ants, is a product called Advion. Advion Fire Ant Bait. Love that stuff. I discovered it in 2017, 2018, and I have not looked back. I mean, it's an It's an excellent, excellent product. There are other ant control products you can get from like the big box stores, but they don't work. I don't find they work as well as Advion does, and so that's what I would go with that. I've got, if you're interested, I've got a video on controlling ants in your lawn, and it's on Advion, and I can link that to you in the chat. But I'll do this for you. I'll do two things. So first of all, here is the product. It's not really expensive. It's like last time I looked, it was like $40 or something for like a 2-pound jug, and it will last you over a season. So it's like you'll buy it and you're not gonna go through it anytime soon. So this is the product there. And then as far as the video, the content on ants and on how to use it, because I have some content on showing you how to use that for good results, is right here. It's a short video. It's only 3 minutes. If you got 3 minutes and 20 seconds, I can tell you how to rid your lawn of ants. It's a short watch. So there you go. So that video, you can check that out. It talks all about Advion fire ant bait. Tells you how to use it if you have it. If you're trying to do it as a broadcast to like over the entire lawn, how to use it around the perimeter to keep like the ants from your neighbors from coming into your lawn. And if you, in your case, you got ant hills, how to use it for properly around ant hills for best results. So between that link, that's the link to the product, and then that video, you should be all good to go. Next up is Aaron Pate says, thoughts on using atrazine on St. Augustine as a pre-submersion. I don't know. I can't really speak to that one, Aaron. I mean, I know that the people will use atrazine on Centipede and St. Augustine lawns. I don't know how, I don't have any experience with using it to tell you what, how good or bad it works as a herbicide. Given the choice of controlling weeds on a St. Augustine lawn, I would go with Celsius, Certainty, and quinclorac. Not quinclorac, sorry, that's wrong. Celsius, Certainty on a St. Augustine lawn, and atrazine. I believe atrazine is used on St. Augustine when you're trying to control crabgrass. Let me see. I think that's correct. Let me. I think that's what you would normally use it for. So for broadleaf control, I wouldn't go with atrazine. I would use Celsius. I don't even see crabgrass on it. Yeah, so the things that it controls. So henbit, chickweed. It says it has some control against POA, dichondra. Yeah, it doesn't even really control crabgrass. So yeah, so it helps suppress crabgrass. So yeah, so that is where if you're trying to control crabgrass in St. Augustine, that is where atrazine I think comes in. But for everything else, for all these other weeds that it lists here that are on the label, I would go with Celsius over atrazine for that. This is not, because Celsius is a gentler herbicide, less chance of discoloring or damaging your lawn. All right, next up is Lawnscape Nation. He says, can I apply a 777 urea fertilizer with iron on new overseeded lawn 4 weeks ago? I should, well, depends on the makeup. I mean, if it's just straight urea, and only 7% is not that much. It should be fine. Landscape Nation. I don't know the product you're talking about. I'd be inclined to say yes, because the levels are so low. The chances of you damaging or injuring anything are pretty low. I would stick to the rates on the bag. Like don't go crazy heavy with it with applying the product. But yeah, a 777 should be fine on a new lawn. Jared is up next. He says, okay, yes, it's not for me. It's something else. He says, okay. He says, it's pronounced Josue. Okay, there we go. Josue. It's pronounced Josue. Thanks for answering my questions, Ron. I appreciate it, Josue. Thank you for the clarification as far as how to pronounce your name. Josue. Josue. Like Jose, but with sway at the end. All right, Chris Miller is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I'm learning more about the benefits of adding carbon to your soil. Can you talk about the advantages of Essential G over another biochar product, such as Humachar from the Andersons? Great question. So you can think of Humachar and Essential G are very similar in they're both compost. They both contain compost. They both contain biochar. I find that Humachar is a better comparison to Carbon Pro G, which is a product that Miramichi Green manufactures for Lesco Site 1. Essential G is like the next revision. It's the next, it's like the new kid on the block. So it has compost, it has biochar, it has reclaimed coffee grounds, has some humate in it, it has some silica in it. So between Essential G and Humichar, I prefer Essential G because it's a more complete formulation. It's got more going for it than just Humichar. And again, to be fair, Humichar is better compared to Carbon Pro G than it is to Essential G. So you know about the benefits of adding carbon. You're just asking about the benefits of those between those two products. Given the choice, I would go with Essential G over Humichar. If you have the choice between Carbon Pro G and Humichar, whichever one you can find, which is easier for you to get your hands on, is what I would go with, because those two are very similar. Essential G, in my opinion, is a superior product to Humichar. And you know what? For that question, because you asked a great question about it's related to Miramichi. You, sir, Chris Miller, if you like t-shirts, I don't know if you're a t-shirt guy, but if you're a t-shirt guy and you want something cool to wear when you're out on the lawn, you are our Miramichi Green question of the week. So if you want one of these cool Greatness from the Ground Up t-shirts free of charge, send me an email with your contact details, and I will tell you, just send me an email. And in that email, I'll reply with telling you how you can claim one of these Greatness from the Ground Up t-shirts free of charge. So yeah, my email address, in case you need that, is ron@golfcourselawn.com. There it is. And yeah, we'll get a shirt out to you once you're able to do that. Great question, man. I like it. But yeah, they're both good products. I mean, you're asking, in other words, if all you could get is Humichar, is that good? Yes. If you can get your hands on Essential G, is that good? Yes. Do I like Essential G more than Humichar? Yes, I do. But again, it's not really fair because you're talking about a newer formulation versus one that's been around for a while. Again, Humichar is better compared to Carbon Pro G versus Essential G. So good stuff. So Chris Miller, and I'm just making a note here. So if Miramichi asks me, is this guy our question of the week? And I'll be like, yeah, that's the question of the week. So the week. So if you want a t-shirt, send me an email. I'll reply with how you can get one of these guys. Good stuff. All right. Next up is Jared George. He's back. He says, Ron, I will still send you an email, but a question. Limited budget. I have a vintage 1950s Craftsman push reel. Spins great, but bolts are rusted out. Who professionally could restore it? I don't know. You? You? I don't know, man. I mean, you'd have to Google like reel mower or lawn equipment restoration. Let's look up lawn equipment restoration, because I'm pretty sure people that restore, older lawn equipment, older mowers, they can likely fix an older reel mower. You might be able to look online and just, if you're handy with tools, you might be able to do it yourself if you can, you can find out the process that people have used and just go for that, So, but I don't know anyone off the top of my head. I've never done that, so I can't tell you who to go with. All right, next up is It's Me. Niall Prince says, what's the lowest height of cut with a rotary mower? Depends on your lawn. If your lawn is flat, if it's like flat like a pool table, you could cut maybe even as low as an inch. If your lawn has dips in it, like most lawns, if it's uneven, then that's going to determine what your height of cut can be. Most lawns are able to be mowed at 2 inches or so with a rotary mower with limited scalping, as long as you're mowing regularly. Most people are able to get by with 2 inches with a rotary without too much trouble. Again, assuming you're dealing with a lawn that doesn't have like really heavy dips and gullies and swells all throughout it. So that's what I would say. So 2 inches is what most people can achieve. 1.5 inches is what most rotary mowers will go down to, but to be able to do that without scalping, you didn't ask that, but I'm just going to put that in there. To mow at 1.5 inches with a rotary without scalping does require a relatively smooth lawn. If your lawn has any kind of dips or anything in it, you're going to scalp and it's not going to produce a good result. So hope that helped. It's me, Niall Prince. That is what you're looking at as far as mowing with a rotary. I mean, if you're looking to really go low, you're going to want to look into a reel mower. In other words, at a reel mower on the same lawn, a reel mower with a front roller versus a rotary, at the same heights, a reel mower is going to scalp less than a rotary mower will. So if you take, for example, say you mow your lawn with a rotary mower at 1.5 inches and it's scalping, mowing the same lawn with a reel mower at 1.5 inches is much less likely to scalp the lawn than a rotary, and it just has to do with just physics. It has to do with the fact that if you take like let's do it this way. Let's say that this soil test kit is your rotary mower, right? And most rotary mowers, outside of like the really exotic ones, have 4 wheels in each corner, right? So one here, one here, one here, one here. And what that means, and you got this big spinning disc, this big, spinning machete that's underneath the mower. What that means is that as you're going along, living your best life, listen to whatever music you listen to, listen to whatever podcast you listen to, and you're mowing your lawn. If any one of these wheels drops lower, right, the entire disc, the entire thing dips, and that's what's going to cause you to scalp in when that wheel drops to a lower area. So rotary mowers are a lot more sensitive to uneven turf than a reel mower is. So take the same mower now. Let's just say that this is a reel mower, which is, just work with me here. And a reel mower with a rear drum, so where like you've got your drive wheels in the back and you've got a front roller in the front, right? So now you've got this mower that's got a spinning set of scissors in the front here, and it's supported by the rear drum, and it's also supported by a front roller. Now, let's do the same thing where you're running a reel mower over a lawn. And let's say this right here, this section, this one little area here, you've got an area that's a little bit lower, right? Whenever the mower runs over that, it might tip a little bit, but because you've got the front of the mower being supported by across the entire front by this roller, it's going to follow an uneven lawn better than a rotary. Whereas a rotary is literally going to dip and fall in because it's just, you've got like 4 points. With a reel mower, you've got, with a front roller anyway, you've got more surface area. You've got the entire front is a surface area that's holding the mower up, and the entire back is surface area that's holding the mower up. So it's less sensitive to uneven turf than a rotary mower, which is why you can cut at lower heights with them than you can with a rotary. So if you really want to go low, get a reel mower, assuming it's appropriate for your grass type. With a rotary, 2 inches is what most people can pull off. Again, assuming your lawn is not crazy uneven. So hope that explanation makes sense as to why one type of mower is superior to another at lower cutting heights. So yeah, but to put a feather in a rotary mower's cap at higher cutting heights, rotary mowers are better. So if you're mowing taller, you're mowing at 3-4 inches. First of all, most reel mowers don't go that tall, but at higher heights of cut, rotary mowers are better than reel mowers. So they're designed. It's not like they're designed for different purposes. They're designed for different cutting heights. Reel mowers, shorter grass. Rotary mowers, taller grass. So depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, Harper's Knitter is up next. Let's see here. Let's see what her question is. She says, I have yellow on my front lawn. I think it's a fungus. I have treated it all summer with a variety of products. I hate it. What happens when it goes dormant? Is the fungus problem there in the spring? Potentially, yeah. Like, for example, I've got like the neighbor next to Alex and I have a section of their lawn that suffers from necrotic ring, which if you've ever seen, it's a really ugly looking lawn disease. It looks like what it sounds like, a necrotic ring. Actually, I can actually show you what it looks like. It looks like this, because I actually have it as a thumbnail in this video. It looks like this, like that. That's what it looks like. It's hideous. It's really nasty, because not only does it kill the grass in that section, but also it like the grass also where it's dead, like gets matted down a bit, so it gets a bit lower. So it's a really ugly disease. And that in those sections of the lawn, it tends to come back every year. So what I would say is this, Harper's Knitter, is I know we've been talking about this, but the thing I would say is, I know you're using fungicides, but you also have told me in the past that you put quite a bit of water on the lawn, and I would encourage you to try and back that off a little bit, because like if you mix lawn disease along with a lawn that has like that the thatch levels are a little bit higher and an excess water, those conditions are perfect for perfect breeding ground for lawn diseases. So you using a turf rake, a power rake to help reduce the thatch levels in your lawn are going to help. Reducing the watering is going to help, and then the fungicide is going to help arrest the disease. You know what I mean? But if, in other words, if all you're using are fungicides, but you're not correcting or changing the conditions that are causing the disease to be a problem in the first place, it's not going to get better. It's going to continue to be a problem. You know what I mean? A good example, like with my lawn, in years past, I used to have an issue with spring dead spot, and while I can use a fungicide in the fall to help prevent that, another component of preventing spring dead spot is like limiting how much nitrogen you put in the lawn in the fall. So by doing that, yes, the fungicide can help, but also by adjusting the other practices, I'm creating conditions that are less good, less favorable for that disease, that particular disease to develop. So in your case, given that you've been using fungicides and you've not been, you're still having issues with it, I would look into like the culture practices. Like let's look into turf raking, like again, like getting rid of thatch in the lawn, thinning out the lawn a little bit. And then also reducing the amount of water that you're putting on the lawn, because between those things, and then also using a fungicide at correct rates, you should see a good improvement. But if you just keep throwing fungicide at it and not fix the other problems, it's going to be a thing. It's almost like people have moss in their lawns, right? They have a lawn, an area where it's like like a bowl, the water settles and it sits there for days on end, and they want to throw like Moss X at it or use some other product for getting rid of moss. It's going to get rid of it for a little while, but it's going to come right back because the conditions that are causing it to be a problem, you're not correcting. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. A fungicide is it's a tool, but it's only part of the equation for controlling diseases in your lawn. I would almost argue that a lot of your cultural practices are more important, like mowing the lawn with sharp equipment. That's super important. Like, so you're minimizing injury, managing thatch levels, and not overwatering. Those kinds of, all of those things all put together are going to make it less likely for you to have disease problems in your lawn. So it's something to consider if this year you've been just throwing fungicides at it and the problem hasn't been getting better. You may have to start looking into the practices around how the lawn is being maintained to help get ahead of the lawn diseases. So something to consider. All right, next up is lawn. Actually, no, we got a question here from Instagram. This is from Moro, from Zavi. He says, "Hey Ron, I applied Celsius about a week ago, and I'm seeing a few yellow spots on the Bermuda. Will it green up given this late in the season?" Possibly. Depends on. It's getting. I know you're in Georgia, so it might recover. If only a week in, given the cooler temperatures that we're having now, that you got some discoloration, Zavi 19. Like what you're saying is, yeah, I went with surfactant. Yeah, if you went heavy-handed with the surfactant, that could cause you to get some mild discoloration. The season's not over, and again, given that we're in Georgia, our winter really isn't like a real winter. So a couple years ago in December, we had temps were in the 70s. So who knows? It's cool now, but next month it could go back in the 70s again. In which case your lawn would recover just fine from it. So yeah, I wouldn't give up hope just yet. There's still plenty of season, and yeah, depending on how discolored it is, that will dictate how long it's going to take for the lawn to green back up. So next time you use Celsius, I would say just back off the amount of surfactant that you're using. So hope that helps. Good question. All right. Next up, we got Lawn King Retired. He says, "Sorry, I'm keeping my Bermuda at 4 inches next year, trying to cut it once every 2 weeks. No fertilizer. I'm 50 now, so I can't overdo. I get it. So there you go. It's a perfect example. So if you are not trying to mow your lawn a lot, you don't want to mow your lawn a lot, you want to mow your lawn every 2 weeks, then leaving Bermuda at 4 inches is a good plan, because that's going to allow it to stay relatively green if you mow it once every couple of weeks. So yeah, the lower you go, the more often you have to mow. And in your case, like you said, you're retired, you're over 50, you don't feel like being out there messing with the lawn a whole lot. You just want to keep it, decent looking. Then 4-inch Bermuda would be your way. I mean, it's not going to look as good as if you know this already. It's not going to look as good as if you increase your mowing frequency, but it sounds like you've already decided that that's the way you're going. So if you like it, I love it. All right, next up is always baked, never fried. No, not that one. You've already answered that one. Dave D24D says, "How can I get rid of creeping Charlie weed? Depends on your grass type. What kind of grass do you have? So if it's warm season grass, I believe Celsius is labeled to control Creeping Charlie. If you have cool season grass, I believe Tenacity will do that. So it depends on your grass type. So the answer to the question is depends on the kind of grass you have. That will determine which herbicide is going to be the best fit. I'm not sure if Triad is labeled for that. Let me look real quick. Why not? I'm already here. Let me look here real quick and see if that is labeled for use, because that way you've got something that will work on most, for the most part, on both grass types fairly well. Let's see here, Charlie. No, I don't see that on the label here. So if it is, I don't see it here. So yeah, look into Celsius and then look into and also look in Tenacity if you have cool season grass, and yeah, those should do a pretty good job against that particular weed. I can't give you exactly which one to use because you didn't tell me what kind of grass type you have, and that does matter. That's literally like the most important question you can ask when it comes to, or part of the that you have as part of your question is, I have this type of grass and I have this weed. Then is when I can give you a good answer. But if you just say I got this weed without knowing the grass type, it's kind of a shot in the dark. Because I got a 50-50 shot of getting it right, and I don't think you want me to gamble with your grass, right? So I need to know the kind of grass you have. All right, next up we have Chenny moving forward. He or she says, can Pennant Magnum be combined with a post-emergent herbicide for control of sedges? It's raging in my yard right now. Yeah, so if you have warm season grass, what I would say is you can combine it with Certainty. As far as control, like one of the best herbicide, in my opinion, the best herbicide for controlling sedges in warm season grass, it really doesn't get better than Certainty. So an excellent product. No temperature restrictions. You can spray it over a broad temperature range, and it is devastating against sedges. It doesn't take very much of this stuff to get a good result. It will also control Poanua at higher rates if you have that in your lawn as well too. So if you're going to stack anything with Pennant Magnum and for a warm season lawn, then I would go with Certainty. That would be my recommendation. All right, let's see who else we have here in the chat. Axiom Turf, a few others. I answered your question there already. Channy, you said, how much surfactant do you recommend using when post-emergent to avoid discoloration? I believe this calls for one or two teaspoons per gallon. Check the label, but I should tell you real quick. What I typically do with a 4-gallon backpack sprayer is I do a 1 to 2 Mississippi pour. So like when I got like 4 gallons of water, I'll go like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and I'm done. And not with it like tipped way up, like we're just barely starting to come out. I'll go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and that's produced a great result for me without causing discoloration. If you want what the actual label says, I think it's going to say 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. And it does, yeah, 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. So say you're mixing up enough herbicide, like 2 gallons of water, 2 gallons of herbicide, like of solution, herbicide, water, whatever else you're putting in there, you would use between 2 to 4 teaspoons of surfactant. It doesn't take very much to get a good result. So there you go. And yeah, you said no POA, yes, warm season. So yeah, so if it's warm season, still this. Yeah, this is what you want. Certainty is what you're going to want to use along with Pennant Magnum for sedges. Because really the thing that Certainty is best known for is sedge control, but it also controls Poanua as well. It's a great product against Poanua, but sedges is really its bread and butter. And if you're interested in getting that channel constantly moving forward, I will get you a link to it right here. I'm not sure if you can click on this link in Instagram, but you go to Golf Course Lawn Store, go to shop, and then Weed Killer, and it's going to be the it's going to be the 4th product in the Weed Killer section. And I will get you all squared away as well with a link here right now. So there you go. This with your Pennant Magnum, and you'll be good to go. Or you already got it? Yeah, so you already have Certainty? Good, so you're good then. Yeah, so you don't need it then. So if you already have Certainty, use that along with it. Good to go. All right, next we have Troke, who says, That's that throwing star from that movie, that 80s movie. I forget the name of it. I know the thing in your avatar. I forget the name of the movie that thing was in. I says, glad to see someone in hot areas. Been watching your videos, which I appreciate the vast details. I'm in North Texas. What's the current best time for post-emergent? Whenever you need it. Whenever there are weeds, the weeds are actively growing in your lawn, you can control them with post-emergent herbicides. So there's not like really a best time for post-emergence. If weeds are there, use post-emergent herbicides. Given that you're in Texas and you said someone with hot areas, I imagine you have warm season grass. What I would say is a great combination for controlling a broad range of weeds in warm season turf is Celsius and Certainty. These two can be mixed together and are excellent on warm season grasses. The only grass you cannot spray Celsius on that's a warm season grass is Bahia grass, but all the other ones, St. Augustine, Bermuda, Zoysia, you're good to go. And it works. They work over a broad temperature range with very little chance of discoloration. Again, as long as you stick to the correct rates. So yeah. As far as pre-emergent, if that's what you're asking about, pre-emergent in the spring before the average soil temperature in the mid 50s, and then in the fall, as soil temps are in the mid to low 70s, trending cooler, that's when you want to get your fall pre-emergent down. So for me, where I live in Georgia, in the month of February is when I like to get my spring pre-emergent out, and then in late August, early September is when I like to do my fall pre-emergent. But that's for pre-emergent. Post-emergent, you use them whenever the weeds are present in your lawn. All right. Next up, we have Polox in Paradise. Awesome name. It says Gulf Coast, Florida Panhandle, putting in new sod. Tifway 419 or Tiff Tough. Either one. Tiff Tough's they both look great. Tiff Tough is a very pretty grass. Like that's what Real Rollers has on the turf park. It's a great looking grass. Either one is gonna be fine. I think most people would say that Tiff Tough is a step above Tifway 419, but they're both excellent. Really, your calls which one you prefer more. And then next up says, do you rake before cutting? Yeah, if you're talking about turf raking, yes. My order would be turf raking, and then I do a cleanup cut after turf raking the lawn. That's the order that I do it in. If you want to see the entire process, I've got a live stream from, I think earlier this year. Where I do verticutting, turf raking, and mowing all in one long. How long was this thing? 3 hours? How long was I out there doing it? It was a while. It's a long live stream, shows the entire process in detail in case you want. And I stop and I show you everything I'm doing. If you got a couple hours to kill and you want to see me out in the lawn having fun, you can check out this video, this live stream, which covers that. So verticutting, turf raking, and mowing live. And that was from, I think it was May of this year, end of May is when I did this one. There you go. All right, so next up we have Terrence Stamps. Terrence Stamps, he says, did I miss a question? I don't think so. I think I'm good. No, yeah, Ernie Minty says, I did miss one. He says, why am I suddenly getting tons of tall fescue clumps in a KBG lawn? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know why that would be happening, other than somehow fescue was introduced into that lawn at some point, and the conditions are good now for it to begin really growing and showing up. So yeah, I mean, as somehow some fescue got into that lawn, and now that it's cooler, it's beginning to grow and show up in your lawn. So you can physically remove it. Again, I'm not a cool season lawn guy, so I don't know if there's any herbicides that you can use to selectively remove fescue out of Kentucky bluegrass. But if it's just clumps here and there, I wouldn't even bother with herbicides. I would just dig it out. I would just physically remove it if you don't like how it looks. All right, next up we have Terrence Stamps. He says, good evening, Ron and crew. Got a question. My neighbor has 3 large pines. You have a pro tip for getting up the needles. I found out this summer how much they affect the growth of my lawn. Thank you. I would use a turf rake. Like if in my case, I would take my outlet through the turf rake in there and just run over the lawn to pick them all up. Outside of, there's not really an easy automated way of doing that unless you have some equipment that can like turf rake or power rake the lawn and also has a catcher, like a grass catcher, a debris catcher for it all to go into. Outside of that, you're just going to be out there manually removing it, like a light grass rake, and just raking it up and getting rid of them. So sorry, I don't have a better answer for you, but there's not really a way to get rid of them other than to get rid of them. There's not there's not like a product you can apply or anything like that. You just got to get them off the lawn. All right, next up is Jimmy Miller. Jimmy Miller is in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, what would cause my GM 1000 to have slight washboarding? I don't think you can see it in the picture I posted on the Facebook group, but I see it when the sun sets. Thank you." A couple of things. Is the reel sharp? That's thing one. Is it sharp? Because my 1600 doesn't really washboard. When it's sharp, I never have problems with that. When it isn't sharp, that's when you can run into issues with an uneven cut and you can start getting some mild washboarding. Also, if the lawn is very thick, so if it's getting a little bit spongy and you haven't turf raked or done anything to thin it out to where the mower's kind of floating on top of the lawn, that can cause cutting issues like it can cause scalping. It can also cause the washboarding that you're talking about. But the first thing I would check, Jimmy, is the mower. Make sure it's sharp. Because if it's set up properly and it's sharp, that really shouldn't be a problem with a Greensmaster. Like the only time I've ever had that is when my mower was dull and I was being stubborn and not taking it in, and that's when I've seen that. So if your equipment's sharp, you shouldn't really have a problem with that. And if you've turf raked or verticut to where the mower isn't like running on this layer of sponge, like the lawn's kind of spongy. If that's not the case, then you shouldn't have an issue with that either. So it's one of those two things: mower not sharp, or the lawn is overly thick and is causing a cutting problem. I would lean towards probably not sharp. All right, next up is Stephen Toast Thompson. Says, what's his question? He says, "Hey Ron, will Spectacle Flow prevent Dallas grouse from my neighbor's yard? I've been slowly digging, killing off Dallas and King Ranch Blue Stem, and Bermuda's been spreading over most of those areas. I don't know how well Spectacle would do for suppressing Dallas grass, Stephen. I don't know the answer to that one, unfortunately. I think I'm not sure if it's even labeled for suppressing Dallas grass. It might be, but even if it is, I don't know how well it works. What you might do, and again, your neighbors would have to be okay with this, is you're digging out the Dallas grass manually, which is good. That's the way to get rid of it in a residential lawn. If your neighbors are okay with it, maybe 6 feet into their lawn, if they're okay with you removing the Dallas grass that's growing in there too, so that there's less chance for any seed heads or whatever to migrate into your lawn, that's something that I would that you could consider as well too. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that as far as if Spectacle Flow, how effective Spectacle Flow would be for preventing Dallas grass from getting into your lawn. What you're doing as far as physically removing it is really the way to go. Next, we got Progression Decibel. He says, "Greetings from Forsyth County. My soil temps are still in the mid 70s and not quite trending down. Too early for pre-emergent? Nope. If you're in Forsyth County, that means you're like in the Cumming area, that part of Georgia. I would get your pre-emergent down, man. We're next week. We're supposed to be mid-October. I would absolutely get your pre-emergent applied this weekend if you already have it, or if you don't have it yet, get some on order and then get it applied. I wouldn't be waiting too much longer." He says, "Too early. I'm considering next week applying Barricade with my per my Yard Mastery fertilizer app." Yeah. I mean, if you got Barricade, go with that. I would get it down sooner than later. Progression. If you want to wait till next week, that's fine. If it were me, I would have had it down 2 weeks ago. But that's me. That's my thing. It's really your call. And then Terrence says, "Ron, another comment. Thank you for answering my email questions that I sent you about joining the Golf Course Land Academy. You are very, very welcome, sir. Hopefully the answers were useful, and look forward to seeing you in the course. It's a lot of fun. It's a great group of guys and gals in there. So yeah, if you want to come and hang out with us, and the private Facebook group is a ton of fun. There's always some kind of antics going in there. So if you want to be a part of that, feel free to join." All right, let's see here. Progression Decibel says, "Also, your recommendation on a decent Manual reel mower, one with a grass catcher is a bonus. Not quite ready for a powered one. I might get my feet wet with a manual. Just tossing ideas. I don't know, as far as ones that have grass catchers, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't believe the Scott's ones have grass catchers progression decibel. So I don't know the answer to that. You'd have to do some research. I think I don't even know if the Hudson Star, does Hudson Star have a grass catcher? But if you're going to buy that one, you may as well buy a powered reel mower, because that's going to cost you as much as a powered reel mower. Yeah, it has a grass catcher. So if you want a push reel mower with a grass catcher, the Hudson Star has one, but they're also like $2,000. So if you're going to do that, I would say go get a powered reel mower. That would be my thing, but up to you. Your call. All right, next up is Antoine. Says, is it okay to use both Princep, liquid simazine, and pendimethalin pre-emergent together? I've never tried that combination. I've never mixed that combination to know how well it would work. I know Princep with prodiamine is just fine. Like that, those two mix nicely. They worked well together. I've never mixed Princep with pendimethalin to know how well that would work. It might be okay, but I've never done it myself, Antoine, to be able to tell you how well it would work. I mean, it should be fine, but I've never tried it. Never tried it to know for sure how well it would do. So if you're going to go that route, do what's called a jar test. If you want to know how to do one, get on Google or YouTube and look up like how to perform a jar test with herbicides. It's one video I don't have. I should probably make one of those. But do a jar test, and that will tell you if there's any weird interactions between Princep and the pendimethalin product. And that will tell you whether or not they will play nicely together. I don't anticipate there really being a problem, but it's better to test before you go out and mix up like 4 gallons of the stuff and then you have, a mess on your hands. All right, Colin is up next. He says, I agree. Haha, if I'm doing it, I'm gonna go all in. No push reel mower here, straight to the good old gas-powered reel mower. Time to elevate the lawn game. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a push, but I mean, the gas-powered reel mower is, it's next level, man. It's a night and day difference. So like I would say, going from a rotary mower to a push reel mower is an order of magnitude better as far as your quality of cut. Going from a push reel mower to a powered reel mower, in my opinion, is even a bigger difference than going from a sharp rotary to a push reel mower. Like it's a really big difference between a push reel mower and a powered one. There's a huge difference. And then next up is BBN says coyote urine can be bought from Amazon and eBay. I'll tell you this, that is something you will not find in my search history. I've never Googled where to buy coyote urine, but there you go. I learned something new. I didn't know it was readily available online. All right. You're very welcome, Chris. Once the live stream's over, I'll email you back with how you can get the shirt. All right. Next up is Frugal Fixer Spike. He says, I bought an old California trimmer today, $50. Wow, it's a good deal. It started on the first time, but hang on. First of all, got a new mower. We got to clap it up for that. So there you go. Congrats. I said, it cuts my common Bermuda pretty good. Now to figure out how to slow it down, it does wheelies now. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's there might be a gearing kit or something you can buy for it to do that. I don't know. But I mean, for $50, you did well, man. You did really, really well. That's a good deal for a powered reel mower. Okay, Larry is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I just finished dethatching minutes ago, 1,500 square feet of my 2,500 square foot lawn to overseed after leveling. That will take work from digging weeds out from 3 years. I'll email pictures and an update next week. Awesome. Yeah, man. Before, during, and after pictures are always welcome. He says, thanks for all your help and advice every Friday and the product that helped me. You're very, very welcome. I'm glad that it's useful. Scooper or Super Two Bear says, new to your channel, phenomenal content. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I do try. I don't always get it right, but I do my best, and I really do appreciate that you get some value out of the content. Good stuff. Thank you for watching. It really does mean a lot. Golf Junkie says, how to kill quackgrass without, of course, killing my Kentucky bluegrass. Thought I had crabgrass, but I was wrong. It laughed at the quinclorac. I don't, you know what I have? I'm not sure on that. I think it's one of those you really want to prevent with pre-emergent. Golf Junkie. You know what? I have an. If you don't mind, let me research that one. I don't think I'm going to have an answer for you. It's my. I think it's in my which because I researched that one, but it's not a question I get very often. I think I have a blog post on which grasses look like weeds, and I believe in that one I talk about quack grass. Let me look here really quickly. I don't think that there's going to be an easy answer to that one. And you have, yes, so Certainty is labeled for it, but yeah, you have Kentucky bluegrass. Yeah, I don't know if there's an answer for you on that one, man. For cool season grass, I don't know. Certainty is labeled for quack grass, but not for, you obviously can't use that on Kentucky bluegrass because you don't want to kill your grass, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know on that one. You mean dig it out. That's going to be your best bet. Yeah. So I've got, I've got an article here that you can check out, Golf Junkie. But I think what you're going to be finding is you're going to be physically removing it. There's not. I don't think there's. I don't know of a selective herbicide for cool season grass that will remove quack grass. Not saying there isn't, but I just don't know one off the top of my head. So yeah. Let's see. Camus 83489 says, "How is everyone getting fungus? Is it from overwatering?" No. So overwatering does not cause lawn disease, but it creates conditions that if your lawn has been exposed to it, or it's already predisposed to having disease problems, you're creating conditions where it can take root. So having a lawn that has high levels of thatch, so that it's spongy, you got this really spongy layer that that's really moist. That's a good condition. Those are good conditions for lawn disease to develop. So strictly speaking, water is not causing it, but if you combine excessive water with like a lawn with thatch, and then you introduce a lawn disease, then yes, then you're gonna have problems. So so all the more reason why overwatering is bad on a lot of fronts. One, you're wasting water, causes thinner roots. Done heavily enough can cause a discoloration in the grass, and you're creating conditions that can create disease problems. I'm not saying that it is like water is directly causing it, but it creates conditions where it's more likely to happen. So for all those reasons, I would highly recommend just don't overwater. Why? Like water's expensive too. Irrigation, like watering your lawn's expensive. So why overdo it? All right, Super Two Bear is back. He says, "I am in Austin, Texas. 8B, I think, just bought a house with a small lawn full of crabgrass, clover, and unidentified weeds. I don't know what my main grass is. Where should I begin given that it's..." I don't know what the rest of your question is. So what you can do is, if you're not sure what kind of grass you have, you're in Austin, Super Two Bear, so it could be Bermuda or Zoysia. It's probably a warm season grass of some type. You can take a picture of it, and then you go to Google Images. Like if you just go to Google Images, I think it's images.google.com. You can paste a picture of your grass in there, and it'll tell you what kind of grass you have. You can also look at, like on the Golf Course Lawn Store, we've got tons of grass. We've got like several blog posts and articles on grass, like different types of grass types. I will try and actually, you know what? I'll find one here. I think the one that we did on seeding, on grass seed, also has. We'll show you pictures of different grass types, like what kind of grass best suited for my area. I think this one has pictures of different grass. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this will be useful for you. So this blog post on what grass is best suited for my region, like you got pictures of fescue, Bermuda, only fescue and Bermuda, but I've got another one here that has all of them. The one that's on grass seed will have that one. Let me find that one for you really quick. I'm trying to think of where that one was. It was like which seeds grow faster which grass types grow faster from seed. That's and that was a blog post, if I remember. It's a while back, but I'm pretty sure that one was a blog post. So let me find that for you here really quick. Super Two Bear, and I will. Yep, there we go. This is it. Yep. Yep, this one. So this blog post on what are the best grass seed types and how long they take to grow. This has pictures of the various types of grass, and you can look at it, and it'll tell you, you know, might give you an idea what kind of grass you have. So, yeah. So I'll send you a link to this, but again, also you can just take a picture of it and throw it into Google image search, and that'll also tell you what kind of grass you have in your lawn. So at super tuber, check a look at that, and then also, like I said, Google image search. All right. Nothing else in the gram. We got a Diana Calderon join. What's going on, Diana? Hopefully you're doing well. Maxina also joined. Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for coming to hang out. Appreciate you guys and gals. Next up, we have Phyllis Lawrence. Phyllis says, happy Friday, Ron, from Military City, San Antonio, Texas. Thank you for all you do, my fellow lawn connoisseurs. Please show your appreciation to Ron by pushing the like button. Thank you so much, Phyllis. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, hit that like button if you've not as yet. It really does help the channel. It's free to do, and I really would appreciate it. Next up is Frugal Fixer Spike says, I have common Bermuda and really stubborn Virginia buttonweed. Options to get it before winter, upstate South Carolina. Yeah, so Celsius will control Virginia buttonweed at higher rates. It's going to likely take more than one application, though. So depending on how big your lawn is, do I have any single-use packets? I do. Yeah, so depending on how big your lawn is, Frugal Fixer, you can use the 0.226 with 2 gallons of water rate. Like that rate is the higher rate for Celsius. So you get one of these, like this is a single packet. One of these in 2 gallons of water is going to be the higher rate. Or if you have a larger lawn where you want to have more of the product, you can go with the 10 ounce. So depending which way you want to go, I would pair Celsius with surfactant. So go to shop and then go to weed killer and then get Celsius either in the single use packet or in the 10 ounce, and then pair that with surfactant. And again, it will likely take more than one application and at the higher rates, but that will control Virginia buttonweed. It's a pain. That's a tough weed to control. It's a difficult one to control. Virginia buttonweed and same thing is true for doveweed. Like Celsius will do doveweed as well too. But again, higher rates and more than one application. You could also look into a herbicide. I think Blindside will do that too, but you got to be careful with Blindside. Let me look here really quick. I believe Blindside is also labeled for that, but there's a ton of places where you can't even get it because a lot of states where you can't buy it. You said Virginia buttonweed. Let me look here. Virginia. Yeah, it's not. It's it's on the label. So Blindside is another option as well too, if you want to try another herbicide. Celsius will work, but I mean, Blindside is another option for you as well. Frugal Lawn Fixer. Let me see if I can get you a link to that. I may or may not have that, but yeah. So this is the link to Blindside at Frugal Fixer. So that, and then for Celsius and surfactant, you can get both of those there. So between those two, that should take care of your buttonweed. Okay, B Rose says, I plan on spoon feeding 1/4 of a pound of N a week for the next 5 to 6 weeks. So 1/4 pound, so a pound of nitrogen per month. Okay. Can I still do a full application of a winterizer at the end of the season and not worry about N overload burn? Here's the thing. I'd say 4 weeks before you intend to stop feeding the lawn is when I would do your winterizer fertilizer. Again, keep in mind that there are some people that are more aggressive than I am that will feed the lawn later into the season than I do. I just try to be more conservative in the fall because I really don't want to have problems with diseases in my lawn come springtime. So what you're doing, a pound of nitrogen per month, I mean, that's a bit heavier than I would be doing this time of year personally. But if you're going to do that, I would shut it down a few weeks, really I say a month, but let's say 2 to 3 weeks at the I want to give it 2 to 3 weeks at the longest, or sorry, at the shortest before you would do your final winterizer fertilizer, so your higher potassium fertilizer. So it's up to you. It's up to you, B-Row. Again, I wouldn't be doing a pound of nitrogen for me personally this time of year, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But give it like cut that off a couple of weeks before you're planning on doing your last fertilizer app. And as far as what I would recommend for winterizer fertilizer, it's a pinned comment in the chat if you're on YouTube. It's the Stress 12024 product that we carry from Lebanon Turf. And yes, that's it. Kroll. That's the name of the movie. I remember it, man. It was an awesome. Because I remember it was a movie. It's like an '80s movie. And it's like in the desert. I remember it was in the desert, and then he finds a thing, and it's like all like in a that's like in the it's like in this crusted thing, and he breaks it, and then you have then the blade thing that you can throw is like boomerangy comes back. I forget all the premise of the movie, but I do remember seeing that. Like that's like an image from my childhood. Kroll. That's the name of the movie. Yep. Very cool, man. Kroll, and the weapon is the glaive. 80s, man. 80s has some really good movies. Here's the thing, though, Troke. I'd be afraid to watch it now because while that movie was really cool when I was younger, I imagine now it would be like it'd be painful. I don't think it'd be a movie that aged well. That would be my thing. You can tell me though. Given that you've got it as your avatar, you're obviously a fan of it. You can tell me if you still think it's fun to watch in 2023. But yeah, that's old school, man. Very, very cool. All right, Stephen Thompson said, if you had to order one product from Miramichi, what would it be and why, excluding the carbon kit? Bermuda and Dallas Fort Worth. Just one. Oh man, I mean, liquid or granular? Granular, Essential G. Liquid, Release Zero. Release Zero, because they both are on two different. They both do similar. They're similar in the sense that Essential G is excellent in that it helps you get more out of any granular fertilizer you apply. Release Zero is excellent in that it helps you get more out of any liquid products that you mix with it. So for granular, Essential G. For liquids, Release Zero. So, and that fits your bill because even though there's a Release Zero carbon kit, you can get Release Zero separately. So I'll show you really quick for those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about. I think Steven knows, but if you go to shop and then go to the Miramichi Green section, this is the granular biostimulant, Essential G. And then for the liquid, I would go with Release Zero. Man, I really like Biospectrum too, though, man. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough question, Steven. Why not both? Right? All right, next up we have, okay, Dave. Yep, so you're good to go. I'm glad to hear that's helpful. And then next up is Frugal Fixer Spike says that $50 reel mower is older than you, I bet. I think someone sped it up with a gear change. He was over 80 and must have been a sprinter when young or real king legs. I dropped a video on my channel. Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a way to re-gear it to where you can slow the mower down. And then the Poleaxe in Paradise says the Mascot 21-inch Clipper USA are manual reel mowers that you can add a grass catcher. So there you go. So that's, I told you, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I don't, but you guys came through with the assist. So if you look into a Mascot 21-inch and Clipper USA for a manual reel mower with a grass catcher. Cool stuff. Very, very nice. You're very welcome, Super Tuber. Happy to help out. We are winding down. Instagram, if you guys got any questions or comments, you guys better come on with it. We're about to be done. We're about to be over. Next up is, let me see here, is Recon, Rhythm, Noise, and Industrial Music. Says, any suggestions on the best way to get rid of chimber gripe weed from Bermuda lawn in Georgia? This weed is a pain. I think Celsius is labeled for that. Recon, let me check real quick. The label has so many on there, and I don't have them all in memory, but I will check here really quick for it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, chamber bitter is on there. Yep. I know the most common ones. I don't have all of them listed on here, but chamber bitter is there. So yeah, so what I would say is, given that you got a Bermuda lawn in Georgia, go with Celsius, and pair with Celsius surfactant. So use this, the spreader sticker, and Celsius for best results. Those two together should do a good job against your chamber bitter. And you can get both of them right here. So there you go. Rhythmic noise and industrial music. Cool. So you do like sound effects? Sounds like it based on your channel name. It's cool stuff. All right, guys. Our last question or comment of the evening, we're gonna get out of here in record time tonight, it looks like, is from Mr. Charles Westmoreland. He says, "Greetings, Ron and crew. Finish overseeding, fertilize, and put down hydrotain here in Northern Virginia. Temperature has been cooperating as well." Awesome, Charles. Sounds like you did it all right. Got your overseed, your fertilized, you got your moisture manager down. All that's left now is just to give it time and allow the lawn to grow in, right? Did all the hard work, which is great. All right, so you guys know what time it is. Time to cue the outro music. There we go. All right, you are very, very welcome, Recon. And then Larry says, "Thank you for being the only live stream that allows us to ask questions and get a professional answers." You're very, very welcome, Larry. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. That's what I aim for. Like I said, don't always get it right, but I do my best to try and be as much help as possible. Again, guys, gals, live stream next week, Wednesday night. So it's probably not going to go as late, because I know, you guys are all working people and you got to get up in the morning. So we may not be as long, but I didn't want to skip next week, so we'll do it on Wednesday night next week. I'll get it scheduled over the weekend so you guys have plenty of time. As always, appreciate all the love and support. The golf course store is, lawn store is open. We've got a good selection of pre-emergent fertilizers, anything you need for your lawn needs. So feel free to stop by there, help us out, support us. Really do appreciate it. Thank you once again, and have an amazing, amazing weekend. Take care.